Oh, 56 hard in the wall. Looks like we're going to stay green. Oh,
they got a spin.
95 around, 33 hard into the inside wall.
Oh, they're wrecking up front. 93, Ricky Johnson's around, collects the 30, the 59, the 30, I already said the 30. Oh,
They're still wrecking.
Oh my god, the 22 of Jason San Diego, damn it. Oh my word.
Turn 3 and 4.
Side, they fly for turn 3 and 4.
It's 66 now. Oh, they're 3 wide.
Oh, Joe, who's
3.
here?
I don't know. They're 3 wide through the tri-oval. Give it to Felds there at the yellow flag. For the lead, the 77 goes to the inside, doesn't have the run there, goes back outside, he's going to try to have the momentum through turns 3 and 4, peaks to the inside, it's going to be a drag race down the front straightaways, Calavol's around!
It's going to be at the line, it's so close, Merslack wins it!
Don't think, oh he got really close, he's going to look to the inside! Oh, they make contact! Oh my god! Joseph Weaver! Live from the Daytona International Speedway, it's JTN, it's the United States Online Racing League Red Bull Cup Series season opener. Hello folks, I'm Joe Twansky. Alongside me tonight, it's Mr. Tommy Bordeaux. He'll be alongside me for 24 races this season with the United States Online Racing League Red Bull Cup Series. And Tommy, it is going to be a fantastic time here.
Boy, it sure is, Joe. I would like to welcome everybody back to the JoeTowNetwork and into your homes for tonight's race here. The Red Bull Cup Series at Daytona as part of the United States Online Racing League's season opener. Joe, tonight, something a little bit different for the start of the season. Talk about those duels before the race tonight.
Yeah, Tommy, we open up the season just like real life. Isn't that crazy? A sim modeling real life. We're going to have two dual races tonight. That's why we're getting an early jump on tonight's broadcast here at 10 o'clock instead of the normal 10:40 that we usually do with these Red Bull Cup Series races. It's going to be two dual races, Tommy, 15 laps apiece to set our starting lineup for the Verizon 250 this evening.
That's right, Joe. And some of these guys' season starts are going to hinge on that duel. Remember, at Daytona, of course, draft is king, but if you're stuck in the back all race and you can't find your way up to the front, you could be looking at a long night and a long season ahead of you if you can't get good points to start out. However, being Daytona, expect a lot of wrecks and accidents that might impact where everybody finishes in this one tonight.
And Tommy, we saw a lot of that last night. You were in the race, the Boost Mobile Truck Series race last night. What did you take away from your experience in that event?
Well, there's a couple things, Joe. First and foremost, I talk about being able to pass, being stuck in the back. And last night, that kind of plagued quite a few drivers. Tried to get the middle line rolling, and not much was going on up there. Hard to get the momentum we needed with enough trucks up there in that middle groove to make anything work. But possibly towards the end of the race, we saw that very high lane right up against that outside wall be able to do something. So I would see tonight, Joe, to watch for that. Watch if anybody jumps out to that very outside groove to try and make some moves. I think we're going to see a bottom line that dominates definitely early on tonight, but I think as we get later in the race, drivers trying to scramble for every position they can, look for maybe that middle and high side to at least get some cars up there and possibly come alive.
Come alive, these drivers will. A big field tonight. We're going to split them in two again for our dual races to start the night of your racing action. We had an Xfinity Series race today, Tommy, that saw Austin Cindric win a championship. We saw Sheldon Creed win a truck title last night. I wanted to get that plugged in because this week, Davey Hazard, who will be one of our guests tonight during the dual race he is not a part of, well, Davey and I will be talking about championship weekend on the Fake Racers podcast this week, and it's going to be a fun time there. I have no idea why I went for that sponsor plug there, Tommy, but It's crazy. It's crazy. It's Daytona. It's going to be crazy. We're going to have all these guys competing to try to lock themselves into the championship playoff format at season's end tonight, because you can get it done. If you can get it done tonight, you are going to have a great shot at a title come season's end.
That's right, Joe. Trying to make the playoffs, especially in a series and a league as competitive as the USORL, is like holding an Olympic barbell on your shoulders. A lot of weight on there that can get taken off very early into the season if you can win here tonight at Daytona. Like you mentioned, Joe, Austin Cindric winning the championship in the Xfinity Series. He was driving the number 22 car. Sheldon Creed in the trucks was in a 2 truck last night. And now tonight we have the 2 car of Sean Whitehill. Perhaps he, coming from an outside perspective and not usually a US World regular, only races Rockingham when it's on the schedule, but perhaps he wins tonight and gets himself into those playoffs. Who knows?
And he's got a beautiful JTN sticker on the hood, and we're really proud to, fund that partnership there between Sean and JTN. I would say it's probably between my race team too, but we'll try to keep the businesses separate for right now. Tommy, you know a thing or two about keeping the businesses separate. Why don't you talk about a few of our sponsors tonight?
I sure do, Joe. Well, I would like to first and foremost give a shout out to TWB, one of my companies that has done very well recently. We're so thrilled to have you here. You saw that TWB truck last night take a few spins and spills, but boy, we finished that race no matter what. And hopefully later this season, actually tonight, you're going to see a lot of different cars with TWB representation on them. So I look forward to that. And also a big shout out to Garden Lights Direct from porches to patios and more for all your outdoor and festive lighting needs. Visit gardenlightsdirect.com. That's gardenlightsdirect.com.
A great assortment there on that website, and a great place to buy all of your garden light needs. gardenlightsdirect.com. That's gardenlightsdirect.com. Tommy, we qualified tonight, and that's only going to lock in our front row. Who's going to be on that front row for tonight's main event, the Verizon 250?
Well, that's right, Joe. 2 veterans in sim racing. The 75 car of Davey Hazard, runner-up in last year's championship battle at Homestead, will start on the pole for tonight's Daytona 250, and to his outside, a long-time NR 2003 driver, much success over the years, lots of wins, championships, and the like, making his first start in the USORL since Season 1 many years ago. That's going to be the number 28 car of Austin Hakes. He's sponsored by the Habitat for Hoosier Boy and El Grippo.
You gotta love that El Grippo stuff, dude. It makes the track so raceable.
Yeah, they don't make tires like that or traction compounds like that anymore. Also on there, Buckle Up with Brutus in partnership with Ohio State University.
Gross.
These drivers don't.
Nope, stop. Mm-mm.
These drivers don't go out there without their seatbelts fastened, and you shouldn't go out on the road without yours as well. Buckle up with Brutus or whoever your favorite college mascot is whenever you take a drive.
Not with Brutus. Brutus destroys people's dreams.
Some dissenting Michigan fans are in this booth tonight.
Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't say that I'm an Ohio State fan, but I'm always a fan of safety on the road.
Tommy, you're great. We're watching last season's champion, one of your PTR boys, Steven Merzlak here. He's right behind Mikey Murata, getting some drafting practice in here to start our, happy hour, whatever, shakedown session before the duels. Merzlak, he's looking to defend his championship. I believe, though, he and the 4 team, they're thinking about doing a part-time season this year.
Yeah, call it a semi-sabbatical for that 4 team of Steven Merzlak. Won the championship in exciting fashion last year at Homestead. Came down to the final lap. And I got to say, Joe, that 4 team, they put a lot of effort into that. And sometimes you deserve a little bit of a break. But he's here tonight. He'll be racing in select races throughout the year. And so we'll see that 4 car maybe not defend his title, but at least keep people in the know that, hey, he is a championship caliber driver and team.
Yeah, and Steven does a great job with all his paint schemes. Check out Steven Merzlak Designs on Twitter. Another guy, it's Mr. Michael Murata. You see him here. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just a little stuttering machine right now. Here in his number 55 machine. Mikey did a great job last night. Was caught up in a late wreck, though. What would be your outlook for a guy like Mikey, who's really good at these super speedways, but just doesn't seem to have the luck come the end of the race?
Well, it's either you bring back the steering wheel or the trophy for Michael Morata. You can see him there in the Michael Waltrip paint scheme, and Michael Waltrip much of the same venue as far as winning is concerned on Super Speedways. In fact, all of Michael Waltrip's 4 Cup Series wins came on Super Speedways, a couple of those on these high banks here at Daytona. So, yeah, for Michael tonight, he's a Super Speedway ace. We've seen him win at Talladega before on JTN in the Mountain Dew Dash Series over in the Fast Racing League. I think for a driver like Michael, it's staying out of trouble early on. Get yourself in a position to win at the end, and hopefully don't get caught up in an accident like he did last night.
Watching the end of pit road, we got a lot of death going on right now. That's a little scary. Just a teeny bit.
So we have Davey Hazard on the pole for this race, and like I said, Austin Hicks was outside. I would like to mention that is a primetime racing front row lockout, and that makes me pretty happy, I must say, as part of that team.
Drivers, to your
Tommy,
car.
I believe for this first dual race, we're going to have fellow JTN commentator Mr. Ricky Collette up in the booth.
That's right, Joe. We are. He's going to be up in the booth to join us for this first of 2 duels, and then after him will be Davey Hazard for the second duel. Let's bring in Ricky and see what he has to say about this as he commentates alongside of us here at Daytona. And we welcome Ricky Collette up to the booth tonight. Going to be rolling off in the second duel tonight. So for this first one, he's going to join us. Welcome to the booth, Ricky.
Hi there, guys. Thanks for having me for this first duel here.
Yeah, good to have you. Being on track through practice and qualifying, you have a good perspective for us that you can bring to how these cars are handling tonight, and obviously a great perspective last night up in the booth broadcasting the truck race.
Yeah, definitely. I think being up there last night, getting to kind of watch these guys, from a distance, see how everything's playing out, kind of gave me a little bit of a better idea of how this track's kind of running, how these lines are working, where the fast line is around this version of Daytona. I think it gave a lot of good info, and I'm sure you got a lot of good info last night running the race yourself, Tommy.
Yeah, I learned a lot, Ricky, especially about what lines are good, like you mentioned, and I think we're going to see a lot of drivers early on just testing things out so that hopefully they can have that information in their pocket when they need it and up their sleeve when they need a trick at the end of the race.
Couldn't have said it any better myself, Tommy. We're going to roll off like this. Davey Hazard and Trey Coleman on your front row, with Steven Merzlak and Matt Steelman right behind them, and then the 18 of Ray Tustin rounding out your top 5. Pace car makes its way down pit road, 15 laps, green flags out in duel number 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty brisk pace these guys are going to set, Joe. Only 15 laps to set your starting order, and not only do you have to think about starting lineup, but also pit stall location, the better you can do in these races. Well, I think the pit stalls are actually going to be random. It's a random draw for those, except for that front row. So, yeah, hopefully, Joe, these guys will be able to get where they want to start through that luck of the dice. But so far, all clean out of turn 2.
Right now, it's a lot of Toyota teamwork there on the bottom. You got teammates, Davey Hazard and Steven Merzlak, and then they have their fellow Toyota comrade there, Ray Tustin, lining up in third. Dak Krastowski, though, to the inside of Trey Coleman for that 4th position as we come off of turn 4. Real quick, this is kind of a surreal moment for me up here in the JTN booth. I'm so used to being with either you, Tommy, or you, Ricky, and now I got you both up here in the booth, and this is a little interesting perspective, wouldn't you say, Ricky?
Yeah, it's a little wild. When was the last time we did 3 guys in the booth? It's been a little while. So it's cool to be able to be up here with both you guys and kind of talk about this as we see these guys rounding off turn 2. A lot of interesting strategies here tonight, Joe. Right now, you're seeing your Davey Hazard leading. A lot of these guys that are running up front here are planning to kind of race this out, but there's a lot of guys in this field tonight that you're going to see actually dropping back here. They don't really care about where they're going to qualify. They don't really want to start up front. So they're going to kind of sandbag it and then maybe hope for a wreck at the end just to pick up some points.
Yeah, and Ricky, you're running in duel number 2. Is that what's your strategy going to be? We know you're going to be starting 3rd in that duel race because you qualified 6th. Out of the whole field, of course. What's your strategy going to be later on tonight? Are you kind of looking at this race like, the cliche is all duel. If one of them's crazy, one of them's going to be really tame. Are you looking at this race to kind of pick what your strategy is going to be, or do you kind of have that already in mind?
I think I already got it in mind. I think I'm just gonna race it out. In my position, I'm not on pole or front row, so there's no lock there. The worse I finish, the further back I start, and there's something to be said about starting in the back, but it's also really nice to be starting up front at one of these things. So I'll probably be up there, kind of rubbing fenders with these guys if I can. Not a lot of penalty for wrecking in this, really. So there's kind of no reason not to just throw it all on the line if you'd feel like it.
We're seeing right now, single file, the only two guys up top, Ray Tustin in the 18 and Matt Steelman in the 51. Tommy, it came out this week that you and Ricky, you formed a partnership, an alliance per se. You're putting TWB property developments on the hood of that number 98 car tonight. Tell us more.
That's right, Joe. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, it's a really important sector in the market that we think TWB can hopefully add a lot of value to. And our property development sector has been doing very well so far. Right now, this is one of the greatest times for property development around the country, and TWB has taken no exception to that. So we're proud to have TWB property development on the hood. We'll see TWB lunar excavation on quite a few cars here tonight as well. And as always, TWB Technologies will be on my car. We have a little contact in the back.
Yeah, that was Chris Pickett in the 29. He was not clear of Ray Tustin, who was to his outside. Almost big-time junk there. We see the Bean Machine of Joseph Weaver, and the two car is Sean Whitehill there. They checked up a little bit, slowed down, got behind those guys, but Chris Pickett already hurt. It's a little rough of a hit into the wall there.
Yeah, and Joe, a little further back here, you see by the 13 Austin Spencer and the 1 is Zach Krastowski, they're kind of snaking their way down the backstretch. These guys are kind of looking around, seeing if they can get a high line rolling, it looks like. So single file right now, it might not stay like that to the end of this race. It looks like a lot of these guys kind of hanging in line here are kind of getting hungry. They want to start making some moves, as we see the 32 of English starting to move up, just kind of taking a peek on that 4.
Well, if you're hungry, there's nothing quite like Lucky's Beans. We have a bean machine at the front of the field, and Davey Hazard in 1. Bringing up the rear as well, that's Joseph Weaver, and right in front of Weaver, the JTN car, number 2, Sean Whitehill.
And right now, Zach Krastowski with the Nickelodeon car on the outside, trying to form a line. He's got a good pusher behind him. That's Darren Ingram. And one of Darren's good buddies, Trey Coleman, right there behind him as well. So those three trying to get it going, but Steelman drops out of line with Pickett, and they're going to go by these top three, or these three that are leading that outside lane. Tommy, you talked about it earlier in the broadcast that towards the end of the race, the outside started to come in a little bit. Was it just guys getting a little more confident in that line, or was it just maybe guys thinking that this is my only shot to get to the finish?
From my perspective, Joe, being kind of mired back in the field for a bit there, it became more of a desperation move, trying something, anything to get up there. Just going a single file on the bottom wasn't gaining me any spots, so I had to try something up there. I think these guys, we saw that kind of middle groove. They're working the middle groove. I don't think that's the place you want to be to gain positions. I think you want to be right up next to that wall, but of course, just being a dual race, maybe don't want to scuff up that right side before the main event.
And we see a few of our good buddies in the chat. Austie writes in, "Let's go," in all caps. He's starting on the front row tonight. He'll be on pole position for your duel number 2, Ricky. We also see Ryan Pace giving us some college football updates. Notre Dame dropping a third down touchdown pass. Haha, suck it, Notre Dame. Gordo writes in, "Y'all locked me out of the booth. Let me in. I can only assume what meme you're picturing in your head."
Oh, yeah, coming up here, Joe, in the front of the pack. The who's that? 23 Darren Ingram's got some friends with him making that high line work.
Well, you know,
that's what I said. That's what I said right there. Sorry, Joe. That extra high line, that's where you want to be, I think, if you want to gain any ground.
Oh, Trey Coleman in the wall. Hard lick. Oh, the bean machine. Oh, beans.
And Joseph Weaver looks like he does get a ton of damage off that. Looks like he just went for a low slide, but Trey Coleman, the back end of that number 8 car, all torn up.
Ah, Trey. No. Not like this. We'll get you a replay.
On a line here for lap 9 of 10. I believe they will do green-white checkers if they need to. One for each duel.
Here you see it once again. Trey gets down and Tustin just runs into him. You got to think that the driver of the 18 could have let off a little bit, gave Trey a break, but saw maybe an opportunity to make a pass and move up in that starting lineup for tonight's Verizon 250.
Now, you see, Trey didn't really make a quick move. That was a very prolonged. He kind of popped out from behind Zach, but he still wasn't completely in that low lane. You could kind of see he almost stopped, like he wasn't sure if the 18 was going to let him in or not. But yeah, I agree. Maybe just a little bit of a leniency there might have saved that 8 car. But at the end of the day, the 18 doesn't owe him anything. They're all racing for the same stuff right now. He doesn't have to let anyone in.
Well, just a terrible break. Tommy, we saw you involved in a couple crashes last night. A lot not of your own making. Is the mindset just keep going for it, especially since this duel doesn't have a lot of consequences in the grand scheme of things?
Well, definitely, Joe. Not too much of a consequence right there. It's frustrating, of course, and maybe can put you in a negative mindset. But I will say, I got pretty fortunate last night not to get much damage from that wreck, and unfortunately, that eight car was all torn up on the rear. From some beans hitting him as well, which I'm not going to make a joke there. But right now, the other bean machine, Davey Hazard, leading the field. His car is clean as can be, with Steven Merzlak right behind him. And Sean English up to third place, Joe. A good run for that Dodge Challenger, one of the very few in the field. Might be the only one.
You gotta love a good Dodge, and it looks like a lot of guys coming to pit road here. Oh, no. Oh, they faked him out! Ah!
And one quick thing to note, Joe, this is probably important on that A to Trey Coleman. Moderate damage tonight, actually. So for anyone that was watching last night for the truck race, that was also moderate damage. Different damage models between different mods, they kind of have different intensities. So some stuff that you see tonight might look a little more grisly than what we saw last night, but realistically, they might be the same amount of damage. We'll see what happens to this A to Trey Coleman on pit road. I don't think they're going to be able to hammer that whole thing out, but we'll probably see that rear end pop back out a little bit. He might actually still have some competitive speed in that thing, in that Craftsman Chevy.
Yeah, hopefully, I was going to say, hopefully that pit crew are quite the craftsmen there. It's going to take a lot of work to get that thing fixed up. But, hey, we've seen cars that looked worse win races both online and in the real world, even at Daytona with Eric Jones earlier this season. It feels like forever ago, but, wow, yeah, nonetheless.
I got that car sitting right next to me, Tommy. And you got the Craftsman plug in there. Look at this man. Look at this man. So good.
Get him some tools.
We should be choosing our lines here. You saw the choose cone. This is the first time we're going to be taking advantage of that this season. Down here at the end of the back straightaway, it's going to be... I'm wondering what we're going to see from these PTR teammates. If Davey's maybe going to take the top and hope Steven cuts him a break, maybe give Steven the bottom, knowing that Davey doesn't really have anything to gain, right? For racing hard here. He doesn't want to get in a crash, doesn't want to do anything crazy. He wants to keep that pole position. We'll see what happens. It's like he's going to go bottom, Merzlak top, bottom, bottom, bottom. So Darren Ingram going to move up a bunch of spots. Chris Pickett moving up a few spots here, but it's going to be an all PTR front row for this restart.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
But I do think Darren Ingram right there, a big winner. He's going to gain a lot of track position. As long as he can either get down in the bottom line there, or maybe the high line can try something, I think he's a big winner on that restart here.
Yeah, and I was just about to say the same thing there, Tommy. You beat me to the punch on that.
Trey Coleman in the chat, comment to broadcast, got dumped with the little emoji going, I don't know. So, yikes. Big oof there, but Davey Hazard, he's not having a big oof right now. He's out front. He's going to lead him into the restart zone here. Green flag's back out in duel number 1. And a lot of wheel spin throughout the field, and Merzlak's going to get to the bottom.
Yeah, back in the field, Joe. Pack kind of got split up back there. That allowed that top line to get a good jump, and all of a sudden, Steven Merzlak takes the lead with Darren Ingram. We said, oh, he might be a big winner here. Boy, he sure was. All the way up to second now.
There you see him. So it's 3 Toyotas out front, a Dodge Challenger in 4th, and then a Ford Mustang in 5th.
And going back to that restart there, it almost looked like the 13 of Sean English, not Sean English, my apologies, Austin Spencer, might have actually spun his tires. You could even see a little plume of smoke off that Ego machine. Those waffles running a little hot. Wasn't expecting wheel spin to be a factor on these restarts, but maybe the track's a little slicker than we're expecting tonight.
Yeah, it looks like after that longer kind of run, not long, but that grip just Lego of his egos.
I was going to say, you like your waffles a little extra crispy, a little smoky?
I don't.
We got a blinker towards the back. That's the 15 of Jeff Dixon. I think that's all settled out. just some great sounds tonight here at Daytona, and again, so happy you're along with us, JTN, tonight. We're under 5 laps to go in duel number 1. Right after this, you're going to see duel number 2, Austin Hakes on the front row with, probably just said his last name wrong, even though I've known him for years, but going to be on the front row. Oh, Steelman around!
Looks like that was caused by some lag, Joe.
Laggy, laggy.
Let's go bring out another caution here. Joe, this might actually be a green-white checker that we see.
Oh, boy. You hate
Just
to
came
see
to
it.
line lap 13, this 15-lap shootout. So these guys are going to have to... gonna have a little bit of a mad dash to the finish here when this all shakes out.
Yeah, here you see it from the helicopter cam. Yep, the 15, Jeff Dixon just gets really laggy, makes contact with that left rear quarter of Mr. Matthew Steelman. He goes into the wall, but doesn't look like too much damage on that 51 Kellogg's machine.
He'll be back up there. And Joe, you almost called it basically half a lap earlier, that 15 car. Getting no laggy, little warpy. That's kind of the symptoms of some bad internet here in online racing. And unfortunately, sometimes it can cause some wrecks. That time, not too much of a consequence. No one else involved, but that 51 car going to have to be at the tail end and hopefully make up as many spots as he can.
Yeah, that 51, Tommy, that was a pretty good save. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but he did a pretty good spin there. He didn't really take a huge shot off the wall. It was just a bunch of very tiny hits. You know, he got enough momentum there. He just kind of went with it and let it kind of do four rotations there before it came to a stop. Never really pounded the outside wall particularly hard.
There you see everyone choosing their line. Back straightaway, all the way back to Steel.
Chris Pickett's going to be a big winner.
Big
How about
win.
that? I don't know. We saw that outside line get the better restart last time. Chris Pickett, we love the man. We do. And this could be an huge opportunity for him to start the season off strong.
Yeah, you got to think winning the duel, it sets your season off. You're going to start on row 2 for the Verizon 250, the biggest race of the year. But right now, Steven Merzlak, he's on the point. He'll have control of this restart, and that means a lot here in USORL. It's going to be 2 laps to go this time at the line. Green flag's out, and
Oh, they're wrecking!
big crash! Everyone is involved.
Oh my goodness.
What did we just see?
Looks like they're probably going to wave off that start. If I know USRL rules, I think this start's going to get waved off and we'll reset the lineup how it was. We've seen that before at Charlotte a few times last season in the playoffs.
You know, guys, I think it was some of that wheel spin again. The 23, Darren Ingram, it actually looked like that car the rear end just kicks out on it. And he can't get it back under control. It comes up into the 29-13 to just cause that whole thing.
That's quite unfortunate for Christopher Pickett, who we said got all the way up there, made a great move to get himself up there through the choose cone, and unfortunately not going to pay out.
Yeah, the bright side is I don't think anyone took any particularly heavy damage off that. I think we just had a bunch of spinning. So he'll live to fight another lap here, as it were. He's not going to have that nice real estate that he just lost, but he'll still have his fenders on his car. So, you know, if that can happen, then this isn't over till it's over, I guess.
Like we're just clicking off laps right now. We'll probably go back green next time by. So they're not going to count that as their green-white checkered finish. They're going to have one attempt at overtime here tonight. Austin Spencer, he's going to have choice of lane. Davey Hazard's going to be in second. Sean English third. Fourth is Steven Merzlak. And fifth, Zach Kristowski. Again, before we choose our lines on the backstretch. Ricky, before we get to the end of this thing, I want to thank you for taking the time. We know he had a lot of preparations to do for dual race number 2. We really appreciate you coming up here, giving us a little insider perspective. Oh, Merzlak, buddy. Oh, Weaver. He's mowing the grass.
He's getting some beans and mixing some beans into that infield.
Oh, baby.
But yeah, I totally no problem at all. I love doing it, Joe. It's fun to be up in the booth here with you guys. I've been itching to do a 3-man thing for a while. I've just been waiting for us to have the right opportunity for that.
That'd be a lot of fun. It'd be great to have that. I like being able to hand it off to multiple people, and maybe one of these days we will do such a thing. Really appreciate that, having you here, Ricky, to give us that perspective, and also thank you last night for calling a great truck race up in the booth. You too, Joe.
That was a great time last night, Ricky. And you always do a great job. Tommy, you always do a great job. Y'all have just been so great helping us here with JTN. I know I say it to you guys every night. And all our fans at home, if this is the first time you're watching, if this is the second, third, fourth time you're watching, whatever time, make sure you hit that like button. If you're not already, hit the subscribe. Go over to our Facebook page. Give us a like over there. Make sure you're sharing the stream. Do all the fun stuff. Help support JTN. Help me help these guys up here in the booth as they continue to grow their own names and their own brands. So,
Joe?
Oh boy.
I hate to butt in here. The 10 of Joseph Weaver just sitting in the grass. Actually, I think he's off track right now. We just got some words from the 10 team. And I quote, "This ain't polygons. This is advanced polygons." So Joseph Weaver in the 10 car having some graphical issues. Looks like he is off the track at the moment.
Everyone making their picks. Their picket getting to the inside at the end. So it's going to be Austin Spencer, Zach Krastowski, row 1, Davey Hazard, Trey Coleman, row 2, Sean English, and Sean Whitehill. Sean, row 3 here for this restart. It's going to be 2 laps to go. Ricky, before we let you go, why don't you call us to green here for this green-white checkered overtime finish to this duel number 1.
All right, and I got set to live, so I know that I'm in time this time. Here we come off turn 4. Austin Spencer is going to be leading the field as they come through the dogleg here in the tri-oval, just waiting to get to that restart zone. Waiting for that Echo car to lay down some syrup on track. Here he comes, puts the gas down, and green flag for this only green-white checkered attempt tonight.
A little bit of shaking around, some movement from those cars, getting the power down, but everybody right now staying steady. Zach Krastowski on the outside line trying to make something work up there. Meanwhile, down below, Davey Hazard right on the bumper of Spencer.
And right now, that bottom lane, Tommy, they got a lot more cars, and they have a lot more momentum, a lot closer together.
Oh, the 13 spins!
Oh, to get there!
Oh! He doesn't hit anything, but that's going to ruin his chances. It's starting up on row 2. Davey Hazard keeps it going. We're still green here, though. 2 cars involved down the back straightaway. English in the lead.
Yeah, here comes Sean English with that Mopar power, getting pushed by the 4 of Steven Merzlak.
Mopar, no car, that 32 Valvoline team just started this season. Boy, that'd be great to start their life out with a duels victory here. Krastowski on the outside, English on the inside. Let's see who wins this thing.
Merzlak giving a big push to English here on the bottom. As we come off turn 4, I don't know if that outside line, they're going to have enough momentum. This would be the chance that they get no momentum down the back straight, which still English out front with Merzlak right behind, and Ray Tustin in third on the bottom.
Doesn't look like that high line's falling apart, Joe. I think it's going to be down to this 32 and this 4 on who ends up getting this race win.
Yeah, coming off of turn 4. Into the tri-oval. Merzlak looks low, he looks high. He's not going to have enough. Tustin to the inside, and Sean English wins duel number 1.
How about that? Sean English, he did a great job managing his race tonight, coming home to win duel number 1. That's impressive for that team right there.
Reckon after the fact, just like to remind the folks at home, that does not matter in terms of lineup at the end of this thing for the Verizon 250. So Sean English, he locks up his spot. Going to start third for tonight's main event, the Verizon 250 here at Daytona. And Ricky, I always ask you at the end of one of these broadcasts, and since you're going to be leaving the booth, go back down into the speedway and strap into the number 98 TWB property development machine. Sum up the race. Give us one word.
Taste of things to come, Joe. It's going to get crazier from here because it's just going to, the intensity is just going to get ramped up. We already saw this duel was already crazy. It's just going to get even crazier.
Yeah. And again, Ricky, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and good luck tonight. And go get that TWB car in victory lane, why don't you? I think the guy sitting next to me would really appreciate that as well.
Yeah, well, I got some JTN stickers on the back there too, so you'll get some rep as well. Absolutely.
Thank you, Ricky.
Yeah, thank you.
Summarize the race in 30 words, maybe more appropriate. Either way, Joe, great to have Ricky in the booth calling duel number 1. And for duel number 2, we'll have another guest. He was at the center of attention pretty much all duel long. It's going to be Davey Hazard joining us for duel number 2 just in a few moments.
And Davey had a really good run going there, made contact with Austin Spencer. He really wanted that Eggo waffle. Spencer told him Lego, and it didn't work. Spencer almost flipping up and over down the back straightaway here. Just a tough lick here towards the end of this race.
Yeah, I've seen some cars do some wheelies in accidents before, but that was kind of a reverse wheelie. His front tires were still on the ground, but that back of the car was up in the air. I'll tell you what, he almost went up and over. Good thing he didn't.
Getting ready for dual race number 2, Tommy. Why don't you bring him up, man of the hour, Davey Hazard, up into the booth.
And here he is joining us now, our guest for duel number 2, the pole sitter for tonight's Daytona 250. The duel didn't go the way you wanted it to, but nonetheless, you will be starting at the head of the field. Davey Hazard, welcome up to the JTN booth.
Howdy guys, how's it going? How's the first broadcast go? Or the first race broadcast?
Well, you made it really exciting at the end. We saw you made contact with Austin Spencer. I know you probably don't feel great. You probably, after all that. But at the end of the day, you're going to start on pole for the Daytona 250 tonight. What are we going to look at, though, in this dual race number 2?
Well, you're going to look at people like Austin. He's probably going to take it easy. Honestly, you just got to look at the people trying to get, because you get points for the duels. So there's going to be people trying to get into the top 5 here to get those points. Both lines are pretty strong. The bottom seemed especially strong, but we haven't really seen too much adventuring outside. So, I mean, you're just as I'm just as curious as you. I spent most of the last race up front until Austin lost his mirror. So we'll see how this goes.
We will see field making their way off of turn 4. It's going to be Austin Hakes and the 7 of Cam Bars to his outside. Row 2 is going to be our buddy Ricky Collette and Cal Laval in that row. And then row 3, it's John Peterson in the 49 and the 16 of Garrett Sidner. Pace car makes its way off of the racing surface. Green flags out on duel number 2.
How about that, Joe? Kind of Michael Waltrip-esque for Ricky Collette, going from the announcing suit to the fire suits, and hopefully he's okay with that. Hey, right away, I know some guy is okay with this right now. Austin Hakes out to a good lead on that bottom line, but you can see a couple drivers venturing up to that very high line. I think if the high line has a shot, it might be up there. We'll take a look and see.
And one guy we saw last night, Tommy, and maybe you can shed some light on this, that was able to lead the high line. It was the guy that's out in front of that line right now, Cam Barnes, in that number 7 machine. Last night he was in the 91, did a really good job leading the trucks around the top. Do you foresee the same thing tonight? Is that just something Cam's good at doing?
Well, I know what he's good at, and he does have some good raw pace. Unfortunately for Cam, and we've seen this before on broadcast, sometimes he can get a little bit too aggressive, and I think at this point, there's no reason to be aggressive. It's early on, not just in the race, but also the season. I mean, yes, you get top 5 points here in this duel, but also keep in mind that it's a long season, long way to go, and that 7 car, he's got some maturing to do, I think, kind of Ross Chastain-esque. We know that guy's got the raw talent behind the wheel. Just got to calm it down a little bit, though. Right now, things look pretty serene up on the high line.
And one guy that I've talked about a lot about Ross Chastain it's Davey. And Davey, would you agree with that assessment that Cam, he's got a lot of talent, but sometimes he's just got to rein it in a little bit?
Oh, of course, Cam is very, very quick. He's a top competitor every Saturday night, but he does end up with a lot of incidents. He ends up rubbing a lot of people the wrong way, and I think once he can get past that, he'll be a regular contender for the wins.
And Davey, I let Tommy plug some things towards the beginning of our broadcast. Is there anything you want to plug right now while we got you up in the booth?
You can check out my social media at Davey Hazard on Twitter, at D7H5 on Instagram. You can check out when I stream at D7H5er with an ER at the end. Might have some exciting things with JTN with that. Stay tuned, possibly, maybe, maybe not. Who knows? That's really it for me.
And of course, you can hear him as half of the Fake Racers podcast every week here on JTN. This week we'll be posting the podcast on Wednesday due to some different programming we have throughout the week. And Tommy, we'll get into that more later on tonight. But right now, it's the Hakes Show at the front with Ricky Collette right behind him and John Peterson running third with Mikey Murata. He's fourth on that inside line. He's up into that top 5.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing so far, Joe, out of this 28 car of Austin Hakes. I mean, we kind of expected it. A guy as skilled as him, as long as he's been around the NR 2003 community, you know how he's going to race. He's, calm behind that wheel. He's always fast. He seems to always be near the front at the end of a race, and right now he's been at the front for this whole length. Although, little peak there from the 98 car as we head into 3.
And Ricky said he was going to leave it all on the table. He was going to go for it tonight. He's really been loyal to the back bumper of that 28 car throughout this race. I'm thinking he's just kind of riding it out, trying to see what kind of moves he can make. You don't want to show all your cards right now, of course, but right now that battle is on for second with that outside line starting to get a little bit momentum going.
And that's the thing. Ricky Collette's going to be a quiet contender all night tonight. He's very quick when he wants to be, and it looks like he's on form right now.
Yeah, looking good in those TWB property development colors right now. Great looking race car. Little blink out of the 98 right there. Hopefully doesn't affect things too much down the line. Right now, I got to say that outside line, they're making, I don't know if they're making progress, but they're not losing anything, it looks like.
One thing I noticed with the high line a little bit earlier in the race, it seems like they've cleaned it up, is a few guys tapping the safer barrier there off turn 4. Garrett Sidner, he was up front earlier and he hit the wall and he dropped to the back.
Yeah, Davey, earlier tonight when Ricky was up here in the booth, he made note of that it is moderate damage here tonight for this race. Is tapping the wall like that, is that really going to affect the car too much?
Depends. Sometimes with the way the safer barrier sticks on some of these corners, you can tap the wall and it'll get a lot worse for yourself to see. A little bit of wiggling on the top line. The moderate damage, you're usually going to be okay. Moderate damage makes it a little bit, the damage is a little more frustrating to work around because it's harder to fix. But slapping the wall like that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be all right.
Well, speaking of all right, it looks like that high line's not all right. Falling back just a little bit there. Looks like now that bottom line maybe has more cars. I think it's going to be really tough for anybody to get anything going up there. We didn't really see it, at least didn't feel like we were able to get much last night in the truck race. Tonight, maybe the same story, but as we get to the final laps of whatever race it is tonight, I think we're going to see some 3 wide action, some crashing, some bashing. You never know who's going to win this thing, but right now, very convincing lead by Austin Hakes, but of course, pretty much all you have to do at this stage is just push the gas pedal down all the way and turn left.
Yeah, and this race has been a little tame to point. We haven't had yellow yet a lot of times with the first Duels crazy. The second one's a little bit tamer. And I think these guys, they have to realize that, hey, we're on TV, we're on broadcast. We don't want to look like a bunch of fools, of course. But then, they're going to go crazy. And then as I say that, of course, they hit the apron. Davey, what does that do to the car? I've seen it. I saw it last night. I'm seeing it tonight. Hitting the apron, though, in the corners. Why is that? Just guys maybe misjudging how they're going into the corner? Maybe they're just, putting a little bit more of too much input into the wheel?
It's almost always a misjudgment. And as far as what that does to the car, sometimes it kind of just depends on the driver and how they react. Sometimes it can shoot the car straight up the racetrack half a lane or a lane, and sometimes it can make the car drag down to the apron even more. It kind of depends. And it's definitely not what you want to do. It'll usually cause a wreck 9 times out of 10. We see cars in the apron right now.
A little bit of wiggling back in the field. That's not going to help that high line at all. They've become unglued right now, detached from each other. This bottom line's certainly got things in hand. We'll have to see if anything can come for those guys up top. Oh, we got a mover up top. That looks like Noah Joyce.
Got those Dow colors on his number 3 machine this year. He was in the 31 last season. Or 39. Was he 31 or 39 last season?
39.
39. We got all new numbers this year, too, with a lot of these guys. Some great paint schemes. We got a lot of great painters in this league. And, oh, boy. 99. That was a camera angle we got going there. Really looked like that 99 of Jesse Dalton was going to make contact with the front bumper of that 3 car.
Yep. Something I'm surprised. Sorry, Tommy. Go ahead. Okay, something I'm surprised I haven't seen is anybody using the middle line. Usually when we come to the super speedways, the way the USORL sets up these super speedways, the tracks, usually the middle line's very strong. I'm surprised you haven't seen a middle line emerge or even like a second line that's only a lane up. It's only been top and bottom. I'm really surprised by that.
Allow me to shed some light on that, if I can. in the truck race last night, and of course you got to factor in that's different physics. That's CTS compared to this is Cup physics. The middle line really didn't do much of anything, and it seemed like we were getting some good runs up on that high line right up next to the wall. Now, depending on that physics change, that might actually change how these cars handle. Davey, tell us, are these cars sucking up that good to one another?
Oh yeah, there's absolutely no problem sucking up in the draft. There's really good sucking these cars.
We'll have to see, because if these cars suck, then they could be able to blow by on that high line. We'll have to see, but right now, there's nothing going up there. It's all down below.
Gosh darn it, guys. Bristol is still awake. He's producing this show.
Well, we just want these guys to be able to suck up and not make a mess of it.
Love y'all so much. Right now,
leading in the race right now.
Under 5 to go. It's been the Austin Hakes show. He's led every lap to this point. Ricky Collette right behind him, looking to try to lock up a Row 2 start in the Verizon 250 tonight. But don't look now. John Peterson and Mikey Murata, those two Toyotas sitting 3rd and 4th. With Jack Healy there in 5th, another Toyota. They're going to try to, no doubt, before the end of this thing, try to make a move here.
Well, I'll get a chance here, Joe. Excuse me, Dave, you go for a second.
You okay, bud? You got it?
I'm getting choked up. It's an emotional race.
You know, I think what we're looking at here is if the top line doesn't get going, I think the guy we're going to see move out of line is going to be John Peterson. He's the one who's the furthest up, but I think he's going to make the move. He's not going to want to sit around. That's not his personality, from what I was able to see. I just wonder when he's going to do it. Oh my goodness gracious! We got cars on the apron in the back.
It's like it was the 11 car.
Antonio Ruiz.
Please, big moment.
Antonio's been around. He's one of those drivers. He's been improving definitely over. He came into the league with some speed. We've seen him improving over time. Over in the ARCA series, he was here for the Truck Series last night. He can make some noise as long as he's there at the end. But right now, it looks like he might be losing that draft. Up front, a little bit of moving.
A little more exploration. There it was, John Peterson.
Oh,
there's contact. Ricky gets into him.
Ricky with a little bit of lag and a little bit of booping up the track, and he boops snoots with the 49 and big wreck down in turn 3.
Ricky Collette got the worst of it, it looks like. Noah Joyce looks all right.
Call it for the movers. John Peterson making a move, unfortunately, didn't pan out for him as he would have intended. An accident there, but the worst of it was gotten by that 98 of Ricky Collette.
Here you see it once again. 98, a little twitchy twitch. Makes some moves. Oh, it looks like the 49 might have made contact with the back bumper of that. I already lost the number. 12 car, Cal Laval there. Cam Barnes involved heavily with Garrett Sidner also involved in his number 16 Crunchyroll Toyota.
There's a few guys that took pretty decent hits there. Luckily, like we said, moderate damage. They might be mostly okay, but they're definitely going to have some. Yeah, they're definitely going to be a little bit slower with all that damage. Ricky Collette, John Peterson, he got into the wall pretty good. It's definitely a big wreck for all these guys.
Yeah, and also think about the impact it has on people who weren't involved in the wreck as well. My mind right now is trying to get in the zone of what Austin Hakes is thinking, right? I mean, he almost had that thing locked up with a padlock, key's been thrown away, right? I mean, that race was pretty much in hand for that 28 team. Maybe something could have happened on the outside line, but seemed like he was on track to get the victory here in duel number 2. But I can just imagine him right now. He's got to be thinking, oh, come on, guys. That wreck right there near the end is going to set up a green-white checker that maybe he gets the worst of.
Yeah, and Ricky writing in, lag spiked, couldn't see anyone going into 3, and I think we saw that on our screens here. That 98 just got a little disappeared for just a fraction of a second, and that's all it takes to cause a big one here at Daytona. We're going to be getting a green-white checkered finish, overtime here. Dual race number 2, a little bit of more action for your money closing in on the start of the Verizon 250. Make sure you stick around throughout the night. We're going to have 100 laps here, 250 miles at the Daytona International Speedway for the biggest race of the year in the USORL Red Bull Cup Series. And Davey, real quick, I'd like to again thank you for joining us up in the booth for this dual race number 2. We know you're getting ready. You're going to be rolling off on the front row tonight in the Verizon 250. What would it mean for you to win the race tonight and lock yourself into the playoffs so early on in the season?
it would be a huge weight lifted off the shoulders for sure, especially winning at my home track, Daytona. We're gonna have to really just buckle down and get it. These super speedway races are always a gamble, always a bit of a chess match with a little bit of, Russian roulette mixed in. So we will see. It would mean a lot. It'd be a great way to kick off the season after a mildly disappointing finale last season. But also, absolutely, Joe. Anytime, I love coming up to the booth.
Well, Davey, don't let it get lost on anybody. You won the FTF Daytona 500 a few years ago here in our 2003, so you have some experience winning these races, and certainly that being one of your biggest sim racing wins, even ended up at the Daytona Victory Lane in person with a trophy.
Yes, sir.
A pretty momentous occasion, and perhaps tonight you can repeat that starting P1 here at the Daytona 250 for the USORL.
Yes, sir. I would absolutely love to. I think we're about to choose here, by the way.
Here we go. You see everyone choosing. Healy goes to the bottom. Cal. Oh my gosh. It looks like that 54 might have run over the choose cone. Huang Do.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a penalty. It's going to have to go to the end of the longest line.
Tough break. Tough break. But Davey, we let Ricky do it. We're going to let you do it. Call us to green here as we're going to be coming off turn 4. Overtime. Green, white, checkered finish to set the rest of the field for the Verizon 250.
Okay, well, we got a points battle here. This top 5, we're going to be battles 1 through 5, and then the last few guys after 5th, those guys are all going to be battling for points here. So it's very important that these guys get a good start. Austin Haig's going to lead them to the green. They head to the zone. Green flag's out. Austin's away.
Really good restart there for the number 28, but Cal Laval and John Peterson, they look like they're hooked up on the outside. 2 laps to go here at Daytona.
There's some shuffling towards the back of the pack. Noah Joyce gets on that bottom line. I think that's where everyone kind of wants to be for this shorter run. Only 2 laps on this green, white, checkered. Oh, but I'll tell you what, that 77 is going to be hot on the tail of the 28 car.
Saw some 3 wide back there as well. Everyone's trying to get up to that top 5, but no one wants to leave the bottom. Mikey Murata, however, will. Austin Hakes takes them.
2 friends right there.
I wonder if Aussie's just trying to get to the back, knowing that there might be some big junk here coming to the finish. We saw that in the first race. You don't want a DNF out of this thing here.
I would assume maybe he's trying to help Mikey as well. They're trying to get him to the front, but no one wants to work with him. Jamie Zalecki will not commit. He's going to finally slide up behind Mikey now. On the apron on the bottom, Ruiz. It's Dyson time. It's the white flag.
It is. Healy's got the lead on the bottom. He's got Ruiz right behind him. And don't look now. Ricky Collette in that 98 starting to make up some ground. Zalecki, though, 3 wide for 3rd.
Yeah, that's not going to help that outside line. You really don't want to be doing stuff like that right now if you want to have any shot at winning this thing. Although 4 cars now in that middle groove. It's going to be 3 wide here all down the back stretch.
Jack Healy far and away in the lead right now. I don't think they're going to be able to catch him.
I don't think they're going to have enough momentum. We come through turns 3 and 4. Off of turn 4. Jack Healy out front. Ruiz in second. Can the 11 make a move? He gets to the outside, blocks the run of the 07, and Jack Healy wins dual race number 2. And we're crashing after. Oh, no.
Crashing after, but it does not matter. Jack Healy taking home duel number 2. I'll tell you what, we've had some leaders lead a long portion of these dual races, but not come home with the victory. Unfortunately, Davey being one of them. But thank you for being in the booth, Davey. Good luck tonight. Our pole sitter for the Daytona 250. Was there anyone you'd like to thank before you leave?
If anyone who I know who is watching, as always, thank you so much for sticking around, watching, listening to me commentate. You didn't expect to hear that. And supporting me. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting and having me up here. Absolutely a joy every single time I come up here for whatever reason. And I hope you guys have a great broadcast. I hope we put on a good show. And I hope you guys interview me in Victory Lane later.
And we hope so too, Davey. Good luck tonight. And again, thanks for all you do here on JTN with the Fake Racers podcast, which will come out Wednesday this week. You'll be able to hear more from Davey then. But I have a feeling you might hear more from him later on tonight. Good luck tonight, Davey.
Watch Fake Racers podcast.
That's right.
The lineups are set. We'll have that for you shortly. After the results are tabulated, we will have our starting grid for the Daytona 250. But we do know the front row. It's going to be the 75 of Davey Hazard. You just heard from him right there. and on his outside, the 28 car of Austin Hakes, two NR 2003 veterans.
And Tommy, we do know row 2, it's going to be oh gosh, I already forgot who won dual race number 1.
Sean
no.
English.
Sean English. I'm so sorry,
Sure.
Mr. English. Sean English starting 3rd with Jack Healy starting 4th on the outside.
All right, Joe. Well, I'm going to step away for a moment while we get everything set up, and on our return, well, my return, you'll be here. We will hopefully have that grid for you, the complete rest of the grid, and more action still to come here on JTN. The Daytona 250, the USORL Red Bull Cup Series Season 7 opener, right around the corner.
And folks, if you're a big fan of JTN, if you're a big fan of NR 2003, if you're a big fan of sim racing, well, I have a deal for you. It's completely free to do. It makes you feel good. It makes us feel good. It really shows your support for us here at JTN. Click that subscribe button right here on JTN if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the like button on this video. The Daytona 250 is the premier race in the United States Online Racing League Red Bull Cup Series this season. It's race number 1. It kicks off the season, the grandest stage of them all, Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing. Again, make sure you check out, if you have not already, the JTN Facebook page. You can also check out and find out more about the United States Online Racing League at the link in the description to go to their SMS page. Find out how you can sign up to race with us here in the Red Bull Cup Series. I'd like to thank a few of our sponsors. You can check out AutoSim, the premier simulated NASCAR text-based racing game. That's autosim.weebly.com. Find out more. AutoSim 7.3 just came out a few short weeks ago, providing more enhancements to the game. It's got great UI. It's got great user interfaces. You can also check out the AutoSim Discord. Find that link on their website. That is autosim.weebly.com, or click the link at the bottom of the description. Another one of our sponsors, JoeTow Designs, for some great racing-related apparel. Check out JoeTow Designs. Use code JTN2 at checkout for 10% off. And finally, another great way to support JTN is to check out the JTN merch store. That is linked towards the top of the description. We got some great shirts up there designed by yours truly with the JTN logo. We also have some cool race car shirts, as well as Bristol, our producer, Bristol the dog, his producer t-shirt. He's got a cute little headset on. He's just smiling, having a good time like you are tonight, watching us here on JTN. Call tonight's Verizon 250. I have still not looked over to my right to see if my broadcast partner, Tommy Bordeaux, has joined me back in the booth with the starting lineup. He had to run down at the infield. It might take him a little bit while. I hope that he'll just interrupt me once he gets back, but
Indeed he will.
there he is. See, he just came bursting through the door. Tommy, do you have our starting lineup for tonight?
Hi. Not yet.
Oh, boy.
I'll have that for you in a few moments. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of some USORL officials, and we'll get that set for you. Joe, I got to say, though, I'm so excited, man. I mean, this is it right here. This is the beginning of the season. We're going to see a lot of action here tonight. It's a long race. These guys, you got to be kind of patient early, but we might see some big ones. And at the end of it all, we're going to crown a winner.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good one. We saw some great racing in the dual races. We're winding down happy hour right now to kick this thing off. It's going to be 100 laps, 250 miles. We're going to have, I believe, is it unlimited? It's 3 attempts at a green, white, checkered overtime finish to finish this race off. We're also going to see tonight a lot of guys in new places that they have never been before. You saw it in the dual race. Again, it'll be a story throughout the night. Teammates, teammates, teammates. That's always a big story here at these super speedways. And no doubt, guys having to learn their new teammates tonight will also play dividends if they can do that earlier on in the race. Tommy, teammates, right? And you got a lot of teammates in this race. You got a lot of corporate sponsored teammates in this race. What would be your biggest, if you're a guy that's working with a new team, new group of guys, new group of fellas, what would be your biggest worry, and how would you kind of ease those nerves?
Biggest worry would be wrecking them, you know. You don't want to make them mad, certainly. You got a long season ahead. Yeah, you don't want to start out off on the right foot, or on the wrong foot, excuse me. Certainly not. So definitely, yeah, just be aware. You know, I mean, that goes for anybody. You don't want to wreck anybody in a race most of the time. Sometimes it may appear as an accident. It may not be, but I would say for the most part, Joe, just make sure that at the end of the race you can still be proud to call them your teammate. That's a good start.
It's always a good start. You always want to call a guy your teammate. I'm really happy to call you my teammate, Tommy, here at JTN.
Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that, and I also appreciate everybody tuning in at home and being part of the JTN crew. I gotta say, great viewership out here tonight and last night especially. So really excited to see that as we begin a new season here in the USORL Red Bull Cup Series. Right here on JTN, you're going to see it almost all of these races here on Saturday nights.
24 of the 30, I believe, will be right here on JTN, including the entirety of the playoffs. We're going to start with these first 3 weeks. So next Sunday or Saturday night. I got it right. We'll be back with the Red Bull Cup Series.
Let me interrupt you for a second. You may have just seen a horrific wreck on the broadcast a few moments ago involving our Season 6 champion, Steve Merslak, and a couple other cars. A terrible crash there.
It's absolutely scary, but
yeah.
If you like seeing that, well, hit the subscribe button. We're going to be doing this all season long with these guys here, the Red Bull Cup Series, where we're going to have a lot of fun, no doubt, Tommy, and it's a great partnership. But we also have a few other partners that we're broadcasting this week. Monday night, we'll be with the ASRA National Championship from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for their Indy 200, 80 laps at the famed 2.5-mile speedway, the oldest racetrack in the speedway in the world, and that will be a fun race, no doubt.
I'll be up in the booth with you. Nothing quite like the Yard of Bricks. It may not be bricks no longer on the surface, but no doubt a historic race, a prestigious race, just like the one you're watching on TV right now.
And then Tuesday night with the Hobo Racing League, we will crown a champion. It's championship week there for Hobo. We saw Herman Reese crowned champion in the modified series. I wonder how many times I can shoehorn the word champion into this read. We're going to crown another champion Tuesday night. Those races Monday and Tuesday kicking off at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And our boy Ricky will be up in the booth for Tuesday night. You'll be with me Monday night. Ricky will be with me Tuesday night. And it's going to be a lot of fun here to close out the season there with Hobo.
That's right, Joe. Should be a good one. We've had a lot of battles all season long. You've seen a few of them on JTN, but hopefully you will enjoy the finale as well.
You will enjoy the finale. Phoenix should put on a great show there with Hobo. I believe they use the stock in-game Phoenix, so no craziness there with that track. And right now, we're just winding down practice. It looks like the 42 of William Page has finally joined the server. I don't think he was in either of our dual races, so he'll have to start at the back tonight. William making a... Oh, we're wrecking.
Yeah, Joe, you mentioned William Page, a former champion here in the USO Red Bull Cup Series. Took a lot of time off, like we mentioned, it took a sabbatical. Now he's back behind the wheel. And full-time for the new IPA team sponsored by Red Bull.
And TWB.
Ingram Peterson Autosport. And TWB in large part as well. I got to give some other sponsors some shout-outs at some time, Jim.
Well, Come on. Do you really want to, though? Knowing you.
Either way, I'm still getting paid.
And again, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, we're waiting on the start of this race. We're just getting through happy hour, last-minute adjustments. Mainly with the drivers, as you can see, they keep hitting the wall trying to adjust their coconuts in their brain and their brains.
We have a starting grid.
Why don't you take us through that, Tommy?
Sure thing. Well, Joe, here we are. This is the first starting grid of the year for an official race. Of course, you had those duels, but that's not how we're starting. We're starting based on the duels, but the front row is the same as qualifying. Up front with the pole, it's the 75 car of Davey Hazard, and to his outside, the 28 of Austin Hakes. On the inside, the 32 of Sean English, one of the lone dodges in the field. He's going to start third after winning duel number 1. To his outside, the 77 of Jack Healy, duel number 2 winner. And back on row 3, last season's champion, the 4 car of Steven Merslak. He starts 5th. Beside him, Antonio Ruiz in the 11, Ray Tustin in the 18 car, And the 07 of Jamie Zalecki, that's the top 8. Going back now to row number 5, the 23 car. That's Darren Ingram II. And to his outside, rounding out the top 10, one of our broadcast partners at JTN, it's the 98 car of Ricky Collette. Behind them now, the 1 car of Zach Kostowski and the 7 of Cam Barnes. Now in row number 7, it's the 8 of Trey Coleman and the 99 of Jesse Dalton. Back behind them, the 2 car, that's Sean Whitehill in the JTN Ford Mustang, and to his outside, the 3 car of Noah Joyce. Behind them, the 15 of Jeff Dixon II, and to his outside, the 55 of Michael Murata, both 2 Michael Waltrip Napa cars out there starting on the same row, in fact. Back row now, 2 admins of this league, the 51 of Matthew Steelman, and to his outside, the 16 car of Garrett Sidnor. Sidnor, one of those 4 drivers that were in the Final Four competing for a championship at Homestead a season ago. Behind them, the 29 car, Chris Pickett, and to his outside, the 12 car, another championship contender last season, Cal Lovell in the 12. The 13 of Austin Spencer and John Peterson in the 49 make up the next row. The 10 car of Joseph Weaver, one of the 2 bean machines in tonight's race, and Huang Do in the 54 make up their row. And the 42 car of William Page, a former champion in the USORL Cup Series, rounds out your field tonight.
Great field of drivers, Tommy. Thank you so much for taking us through that. Cars getting set up on the back straightaway. You'll hear the command to start engines. We're going to take a lap, though, to get all lined up. Again, they're lined up right now based on what they were in qualifying.
Start your engines.
Fans,
Boy, you heard the call there.
fans
going crazy.
Oh, man, they're excited. It's the Verizon 250, formerly the Daytona 250, for the United States Online Racing League Red Bull Cup Series. 100 laps tonight of fast-paced, intense racing action, and it's going to be all here, right here on JTN for all you viewers at home.
May I say a few words, Joe, before we begin?
Of course.
In no other sport does the biggest event of the year start off the season, and it's no different here tonight. At the USORL Red Bull Cup Series, Season 7 starts with the Daytona 250, a challenge and test of these drivers' will to succeed and their speed behind the wheel. Tonight, all of these drivers are hoping for one thing at the end of the season, a championship trophy. Last season at Homestead, Steven Merzlak took home the honors to win his first USORL championship by passing Davey Hazard in Turn 2 at Homestead. This season, all of these drivers are vying for the same goal, to be that champion. All of these drivers are looking for a chance to make it into the playoffs tonight by winning here at Daytona. You win, you lock yourself in. It's as simple as that. And to win early sets you up in a great position to do as best you can with as little pressure as you can until the playoffs begin. Joe, it's nice to be back here on JTN. Thank you for the USORL Red Bull Cup Series for inviting us back into their series for another season of broadcasting. And thank you, the fans at home, for tuning in to the JoeTowNetwork. Let's have a good one.
We're going to have a great one, Tommy. We're going to bring the attitude. We're going to bring the mood. We're going to have so much fun tonight. And again, we're so glad you're joining us here from Daytona on JTN, the United States Online Racing League Red Bull Cup Series. That's a mouthful to say, but we're going to say it a bunch this year. 24 races live here on JTN, kicking off here at Daytona with a special long broadcast with the dual races tonight. Tommy, I'm so glad that you're joining me up here in the booth once again. We're going to have a lot of fun this season, and we're all lined up, ready to go here at Daytona. Again, 100 laps, 250 miles. It is the ultimate test of man and machine. These drivers are going to have to make calculated risks throughout the night. We'll see when they decide that those risks are viable. Davey Hazard, Austin Hakes on row 1. Sean English, Jack Healy on row 2. Steven Merzlak and the 11 of Antonio Ruiz on row 3 to lead this field to green. Ray Tustin and Jamie Zalecki, row 4. And rounding out your top 10, the 23 of Darren Ingram and the 98 of Ricky Collette. Davey Hazard, though, he's going to have control of this start, Tommy. It's going to be a good one. We see these cars making their way off of turn number 4 through the trioval. Green flag is out. We are underway. Season 7, the United States Online Racing League Red Bull Cup Series.
Well, already, Joe, we got one car pulling off. It was the 10 of Joseph Weaver. We knew he had some issues in the duel. Hopefully that motor's okay. One of the two Bean machines falling back already, but the other one's in the lead. That's Davey Hazard in the 75 car, a USORL champion, now leading here at Daytona. And on the outside line, Austin Hakes leads as well.
Hakes in the outside line. He's really going to be pushing it here to start this thing off.
Going up to that very high line, we'll see if that works for him. It's going to be definitely an interesting point to watch. What line is going to be able to conquer that bottom groove, Joe? Because that bottom's really been the way you want to go pretty much this whole week here, speed weeks at Daytona in the USORL league. But certainly these drivers are going to be trying all they can to find out where's my advantage at.
I think now that we have more cars, we saw that outside line was not able to get anything going there with the smaller field from the duels. You'd hope to see that not be the trend throughout the night, but already everyone trying to get to the bottom, trying to take the shortest way around this speedway because they know it is the fastest way.
Yeah, it's the fastest, and also, Joe, you get single file there. It decreases your chances of getting involved in an accident. However, I will mention one thing, and I noticed it last night in the truck race a lot too. You get a lot of pull from the car in front of you, right, as you're drafting along the backstretch. So when you're entering a corner, you kind of got to lift a little bit, check up a little bit to make sure you don't spin them out going into the corner. And we're going to see that tonight, I think, maybe have an impact on this race, because if you make one bad move, that could end up meaning your race entering into the corner. Joseph Weaver back out on track, got the problem fixed. It was a quick one, although he is now 2 laps down.
I'm starting to see, Tommy, we're seeing a little bit of shuffling there. It looks like it's the 77 of Jack Haley. That 77 car just looks really upset there in the outside lane.
Yeah, not where he wants to be, Joe. If he wanted to win a dual race, 2 wasn't the one he wanted to win. He would have had to be in the first one to get that inside lane start. And right now, Sean English taking advantage of that. He's been on the low line this whole time so far. He's found himself in second place right behind Davey Hazard, our pole setter.
Now, Tommy, you're a guy that's always been loyal to the back bumper of that number 75 car here at Daytona. Is that what Sean English is doing to start this race? Just try to build some confidence with a relationship between him and Davey Hazard?
Well, you think about this race, Joe, 100 laps, and by the time we get down to the end of it, you're going to know who you can work with, and maybe more importantly, Joe, who you don't want to work with. So right now, I think the best thing for Sean English to do, just get in a rhythm there. Nothing, no reason to push, right? You don't have to be leading this race at lap 5 to guarantee you're going to lead at lap 100, or if we go to overtime, perhaps 105. So right now, that 32 team, yeah, they just got to basically do the bare minimum. Just show that you're competent, you can push, and not cause an accident to the guy in front of you. And that's a good sign of things to come for that team.
They're going to keep pushing throughout the night to try to build some momentum. They are the only Dodge out here tonight, so no manufacturer support or alliances or anyone else to really help them. But we got a lot of Toyotas tonight, Tommy, and teammates are a big deal. Having the same branding, the same badges as your competitors is also a big deal. We've seen that play a pivotal role at some super speedways. We see a couple cars on the apron dropping to the back. It looks like Noah Joyce, Chris Pickett doing so. They're in cars starting to make their exodus from the outside lane.
Yeah, that's a strategy move for those guys. Noah Joyce, Chris Pickett dropping back there. Sometimes you'll see drivers do that. They don't like the situation they're in right now. They just want to get a full reset, go to the back of the field, and hopefully hang on to that draft, and they can move their way up through there.
Pretty tame so far here at Daytona. Working these opening laps into the Verizon 250. Again, thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. Right now, it's Davey Hazard out front, Sean English in second, Ray Tustin third, Darren Ingram in fourth, and the battle is on for fifth between Antonio Ruiz and Steven Merzlak, our Season 6 champion.
That high line's awfully organized, and I'd say they're probably more organized than that bottom one. The bottom line, you can see some guys shuffling around side to side a little bit on the straightaways. That top line's looking really uniform right now, but they just don't have the numbers. A large majority of cars in that bottom line, that's not going to give them any help, and certainly they're falling back right now.
I'm seeing, though, when I asked Davey about, hitting that apron earlier, if it's just a misjudgment, what it does to the car, I'm seeing a couple guys here, Darren Ingram, Ray Tustin, they're in those Toyotas there in the 18 and the 23. They're making a lot of contact with that apron through the tri-oval and down here into the corners. Are you a little worried about that if they're already doing that so early on in this race?
You do have to be worried about it, Joe. You got to treat it like lava. If you hit it in a wrong way, it's going to bounce your car up into the field, and certainly that would cause an accident. So, yeah, you can get away with just a slight bit of contact. Let me be clear here, Joe. A slight bit of contact. You can see that yellow line is split into two right there. And that top groove of that yellow line is actually still that racing surface, but that bottom yellow line is the apron. Get your tires a little bit on that top yellow line. It's paint grip down there. It might help the car turn just a little bit, but don't go too far. You're going to end up in danger territory.
Tommy, we got a question in chat from a Mr. Ian Weaver. Is USORL an actual esport with sponsors or just a fun thing?
It's a fun esport. Can I say that? Is that allowed? Because we do have some partners here. And Joe, why don't you mention a few?
Oh boy. A few of our partners, well, obviously TWB, which is yours with GardenLightsDirect.com. You can check out GardenLightsDirect.com for all your garden light needs directly. You can also check out AutoSim, which is the premier simulated text-based racing game. That's autosim.weebly.com to find out more about that. Linked in the description below. Check out the JTN merch store and JoeTow Designs. Those are some great ways to support us here at JTN. But a lot of these guys here, Tommy, a lot of sponsors on their cars. It's just about forming relationships and friendships with people. The teams are very serious, right? But obviously, some of the logos and sponsors on the cars, those aren't real corporate partners, but we'd like to say they are.
Sure, and one sponsor spotlight I'd like to make tonight is on that 28 car of Austin Hakes. You saw him winning the outside pole for this event. He's got Habitat for Hoosier Boy on board his car right now. That's a foundation that provides replacement mailboxes for those who've been affected by car accidents that have completely wiped out their mailboxes. Austin Hakes, his home, impacted by a mailbox collision that completely wiped out his longtime mailbox. So a replacement there for him meant the world to him, and so he started the Habitat for Hoosier Boy Foundation for those who may not be able to afford a mailbox replacement of their own.
Yeah, you always hate it when you lose your mailbox. You know, you make so many memories with that mailbox, getting mail from it, putting mail in it, and it's always a tragic thing, but Mr. Hake's doing a great job supporting a great cause and starting a great foundation there with, Habitat for Hoosier Boy.
That's right, Joe. Habitat for Hoosier Boy, providing replacement mailboxes for those who are unable. Great foundation indeed. And speaking of a great foundation, Davey Hazard has a great foundation for this race right now. He's built a steady lead, and there's an accident! Oh,
Austin Hakes! No!
And our first caution of the season comes out on lap number 12. Well, Joe, it was perhaps the commentator's curse. I was just mentioning him, and he gets involved in our first accident of the season.
Yikes. That's all I can say. Yikes. I mean, big wreck here coming out of the tri-oval, only working lap number 12 in this race. You hate to see it.
Yeah, lucky for these drivers, didn't look like many other cars even got involved in that. The only car facing the wrong direction was the 28 of Hakes. It's scuffed up on the left side, though.
Well, you know Austin there in that 28. He is not happy right now. We're going to get you a helicopter view to kind of see if there's any contact there. It looked like maybe just the car maybe getting unsettled there off the corner. We'll watch this. Jack Healy, winner of dual race number 2, right behind Austin here, coming off the tri-oval. And yeah, just a little bit of a bad bump sends that 28 car around.
Pit road will be open this time for these drivers who wish to pit. I'm going to assume we're going to see most, if not all, the whole field come in. We might have a few stay out because in the USORL, you do get one extra bonus point for leading a lap. So a strategic move, and Joe, every point can end up mattering. So those bonus points, they can amount to a lot if you stack one up every race.
Davey Hazard coming down pit road here.
First pit stop of the season. These crews, they've been sitting all off season, waiting, cold. Hopefully they've been doing some practice, and hopefully they don't make any mistakes with that 75 team. Off and away, he maintains the lead with his PTR teammate, Steven Merzlach, in second. I mentioned, Joe, guys staying out. One guy that stays out a lot in the USORL to get those extra bonus points is the 29 of Chris Pickett. No difference here. That 29 Syntax machine up there in first right now. Led his lap, got his bonus point. I'm sure he's a happy camper right now.
You gotta
Excuse
love.
me. Looks like he didn't get it though. It looks like Davey Hazard was still ahead by the time pit road timing line came around.
Well, that's when you just speed up and go grab it. If you're towards the back, you're staying out.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I do.
Hey, hit the gas. We don't have a pace car here in USRL. These guys are tasked with pacing themselves, and they're very good at it and getting restarts going here. So, Mr. Pickett, he'll figure that out. He'll figure that. He's a smart guy.
I will note here, Joe. The 10-car Joseph Weaver now just one lap down. He received a lucky dog this caution period, so that's good if you're a fan of the Bean Machine machines tonight.
Looks like we're actually going green this time by, Tommy.
Looks like it, Joe. Chris Pickett electing to stay out. The only car that didn't pit. Now, I got some information earlier here tonight, Joe, on the fuel window. It could get interesting for that 29 car if we have a longer green flag run like we did before, because the fuel window tonight, Joe, it's about 26 to 28 laps, so we'll see. We got through about 12, so almost halfway through here on that fuel.
Chris Pickett, he's always going to drop down pit road here.
That answers that question. 29 car going down pit road.
A bunch of guys coming down pit road.
And so it looks like we're not going green this time.
Sad.
Well, it looked like we're choosing and doubling up, but it looks like we're going to go around one more time, and that's probably a saving grace for that 29 crew. Didn't want to run out of gas in the middle of a green flag run, that's for sure.
That would be a terrible way to start the year.
Zodix Cam in the chat. Hey, how's it going? It's going well, I would say, Joe. Welcome to the broadcast here on JTN. It's the USORL Red Bull Cup Series at Daytona. The season opener tonight. A lot of hope for these guys out here, Joe. A lot of expectations, a lot of dreams and goals for the season. One driver's going to walk out of here with a trophy and a locked-in spot to the playoffs, and that's going to feel great, I'm sure.
Yeah, you got to think that if you can lock yourself in, that gives you a bunch of time to just start accumulating playoff points throughout the rest of the season. You can really push for wins. You can push leading the most laps, trying to get as best of a regular season finishing position as possible. And there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to look tonight. Maybe this is their best opportunity to lock themselves into the playoffs, and that's always a dangerous thing here with these super speedways.
Yeah, you can make or break your season here, especially when it comes down to points, right? I mean, you just have one bad race and it can set you back a lot. And, as a kind of a points racer for myself, how I approach championships, that can definitely impact you. If you have a bad day, it can feel like the end of the world, I got to say. But also being in the position I have before and winning an opening race of a season, boy, it feels so good to have that monkey off your back right away.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love racing. And here on JTN with the Red Bull Cup Series, you're gonna get a lot of that racing. Davey Hazard, Jack Healy, row 1, Steven Merzlak, Austin Spencer, row 2. Row 3, it looks like it's Darren Ingram and Matthew Steelman there on that row. Davey Hazard, he'll have control of this restart. He'll tell them when they're going back green by hitting the loud pedal, and also, get and telling them in chat. We wait. Green flag's back out. We're racing once again here at Daytona.
PTR teammates on that bottom line, the 75 of Davey Hazard and the 4 of Steven Merzlak. You can look back through the JoeTowNetwork and watch some videos. One of their battles was in the championship finale last season here. Came down to the wire at Homestead, and now here they are, 1 and 2 at Daytona to start the season off.
Yeah, not surprising to see these two teammates working so well together. They worked really well to get to a championship, battling for that championship against EcoBoost Racing last year, and they came out on top, finishing 1-2 in that title fight. Davey Hazard, though, in this Bean machine, he's done a great job staying out front, qualifying on pole, and he's been out front all night long.
Well, we saw, Joe, in the dual races, usually that pole sitter would command that race for quite a long time, but it wasn't always that same driver who won the thing at the race's end. So we'll have to see if he can hang on to that all night long. I don't know, Joe. I mean, there's a lot of time left here. We're just 15 laps through this thing, start at lap 16, and we still got a long way to go.
Something interesting I just saw there, Tommy, coming off of turn 4. Jack Healy really made an aggressive move, getting to the inside of Darren Ingram, almost kind of just forcing his way up there on the bottom. I wonder what Darren's thought on that move would be.
Well, Joe, those are things you remember. You kind of remember that if you're in Darren's position. Okay, you're going to be that aggressive early on. I mean, I know everybody wants the bottom line, but taking risks like that, it can be sketchy sometimes. And certainly you don't want to end your night early because of one of those decisions, especially if you're not even the driver that made that decision and you just happen to get caught up in a wreck from it. We already saw Jack Healy involved in the only accident tonight, turning Austin Hakes, so maybe a bit of a target on his back.
Actually looks like Darren's car disappeared there.
Yeah, it looks like he's fallen back to 26 right now, Joe. Looks like a connection issue, but he seems to be out of the server.
Yikes. Big oof in the chat.
Not the start he envisioned for sure, but for the 75 of Davey Hazard, a great start indeed, Joe. He's led every lap into this point, and it doesn't look like that's going to be taken from him too soon. But that outside line, you've got Austin Spencer holding down the fort in that Eggo Ford Mustang. We'll see so far if anybody can get anything started up there. We haven't seen it yet.
Steelman.
Oh, man.
Baby.
and
We're wrecking.
caution.
We're having problems. Big wreck through the tri-oval. Everyone involved. Oh no, the two cars, Sean Whitehill involved. There's Mikey Murata in the grass, Sean English, and everyone. It'd be easier to name who wasn't involved, Tommy.
Sometimes some wrecks are like that, Joe. We'll take a replay here. We'll fetch it. And we have our second caution of the night.
Looks like it's Jamie Zalecki. He makes contact there. Gets loose through the tri-oval. That. Almost going up and over, Tommy. That's a little terrifying.
Yeah, we saw Austin Spencer do a similar kind of thing in the dual race. His car's getting awfully close to flipping. I'm sure USORL officials are going to take a look at that for the next Super Speedway event.
First big one of the night is right. Chat. Get you ATN on board here with Sean Whitehill. Gonna have a great view of this incident here. Oh, it just looks like he makes contact with that right rear Zalecki and then gets hit from behind, spins him around. Not too bad of contact with the wall. That two cars should be okay.
It seems like he got off a lot better than Austin Hakes in that first incident, although it was roughly in the same place. A surprising place to have accidents, Joe. I gotta think back. I don't remember accidents usually happening there in sim races. We definitely see it in real life, no doubt, but kind of an interesting place for two accidents to happen here tonight.
Makes you wonder if maybe these cars, a lot of guys maybe don't have them set up to go through that tri-oval very well, because we've seen a lot of guys getting really shaky there.
Yeah, gonna be kind of interesting to see how that develops throughout the night. Maybe they change their approach to that section of the track.
On board with the 99 plate, so I'm gonna try get that for you, Mr. Dalton. Oh, helmet cam here. You just see everything going on there. Holy cannoli. Are we choosing here, Tommy? Are we choosing?
Well, we're close, Joe. I don't know if we're going to be choosing this time.
I want to choose.
See what Austin Spencer does and the whole gang in front of him. Yeah, we are choosing this time, Joe.
There you see everyone making their choices of line. A lot of guys sticking to that bottom. Looks like only 3 or 4 cars decided to go to the top.
Not really surprised there, Joe. The top has really been struggling pretty much, well, all speed weeks long, like we've mentioned. We'll have to see what kind of restart they get, Joe, because they might have an opportunity, at least Austin Spencer does, to get a good enough restart to slide in ahead of Matthew Steelman on that bottom line. We'll just have to wait and see.
right, so Austin Spencer, he's going to have control of this restart. He's going to line up on the outside line with Steelman to his inside. They come into the restart zone. Green flag's back out at Daytona.
Got a great push there from Noah Joyce. Looks like that 13's going to clear him if he decides to go low, and yes, he does. So he's going to bring Noah Joyce with him. And for the first time tonight, Joe, may I point out, we have a leader other than Davey Hazard.
Well, you may point it out, and you just did, and his name is Austin Spencer. We saw Spencer go around off the bumper of Davey Hazard in duel number 1, and looks like he's got another, they brought out another fast car here. Well, it's the same car. He didn't end up hitting anything, although the suspension was probably cooked on that machine, but Austin Spencer, your new leader here at Daytona.
Yeah, Ego certainly has to be proud of that representation that they have right now. That 13 cars was up front in the duels, got some TV time for a near flip, and now he's leading here in the Daytona 250. The main event here, 80 laps to go in this race.
80 laps to go, though, is a long time to try to get to the end of this thing. Try to make sure you get max points out of tonight, Tommy. You want to get the best finish you can. You hope that it's a checkered flag, but it might. Only one guy gets a checkered flag, but there's 10 guys that'll get a top 10, 5 guys that'll get a top 5.
That's right, Joe. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing like starting off the season on a positive note. Just sets you in some good direction for where your season can end up. And I got to say, it feels really, really good to start off high up in the points. On the contrary, Joe, when you have a poor season start, it can feel like, oh, no way. I mean, I got a lot of work to do, and certainly there is. But, Joe, it's a long season. These guys have plenty of time. We go to some quote-unquote real racetracks a lot of times this season, so plenty of opportunity to make them up there.
Yeah, and one of those opportunities comes next week. I believe we're heading to Mansfield, Ohio, to the Mansfield Speedway, so an interesting short track battle up there in Ohio.
Great, Joe. Great plug.
Oh! Tustin! Up and over!
Problems.
We're still crashing. We're still
and
crashing.
That's going to bring out our third yellow of the night, Ray Tustin. Unbelievable.
Big time
He
trouble.
looked like he was in a laundry machine.
I think he was in the laundry machine, although I don't like my M&Ms in my laundry machine.
No, that'd be extremely messy.
Really messy. Here's the replay. Oh, Davey Hazard blew up, Tommy.
No way. Unbelievable. The beans have expired. And you saw it live.
I have a feeling Davey won't like that plug.
Well, he's not going to like that his race has been shelved for now. And you've really got to be wondering if you're part of that Bean Machine crew, can we do anything about it and make up those points next race at Mansfield?
Oh, it's Davey Hazard. He can do it for sure. Just an absolutely terrible break, though, for Davey. He had such a strong car. It was so fast.
You saw him try and get that engine refired, but just nothing happening, and that's going to be our first retirement of the season. I have too much fun up here. One guy who's not having too much fun is that 75 car Davey Hazard, though. We're going to be credited with a 27th place finish. Joe, I mentioned how he had led every lap of the race up until that final that last restart we just had, and now he's going to come away with last. Our pole sitter, both of our front row drivers involved in incidents thus far.
Yeah, that was, that's not what you want to see. That's not the trend you want to see, especially for those two guys already involved in these two incidents. I'd be a little scared if I was Jack Healy and Sean English. We started on row 2. We've already seen those guys involved in incidents tonight, too. So guys starting towards the front a lot of times are able to stay out of the wrecks, and tonight that is not proving to be the case, Tommy.
Well, and think about all those teammates, too, with them. I mean, of course, Davey Hazard, part of the PTR camp, as is Steven Merzlak, as is Austin Hakes. And for all of those guys in Toyotas right now, you got to be scratching your head wondering, maybe my motor's going to be next. So an unfortunate circumstance for Davey Hazard right now, a former champion, and always fast, but tonight it was his equipment that held him up from a chance at victory lane in the season opener.
Just a terrible break there for Hazard. I mean, talked to him earlier in the race. He sounded so excited, so confident to race here at Daytona tonight, his home track, and it's always a big disappointment not to run good at your home track, but especially when it's not anything that was in your control, right? You have random engine blowups here in NR 2003, and that's just what happened there for Davey.
You make a good point, Joe. Sometimes that's just the way it goes, and that's quite unfortunate, especially on a season opener. You know, we just mentioned, we talked about starting your season off on the right foot. Well, it doesn't get any more worse than DNFing and finishing last.
Never want to do that, Tommy. You never want to do that.
That's right. If anybody can rebound, it's going to be Davey. He is one of the fastest drivers consistently every week, week in, week out, every racetrack you go to. And I wouldn't be surprised if that 75 crew comes back next week even stronger.
Watching Noah Joyce and Matt Steelman, they're 1-2 right now. Zalecki, Pickett, 3rd and 4th with Sean English rounding out your top 5. I don't believe we're going to be choosing. Are we going to be choosing up here?
Looks like they're setting up for it. Looks like we're going to get it this time. To it after that punch to the kidneys for the bean machine. Boy, I mean, sometimes you might be considering maybe I should just go to the Navy, or you know, perhaps get on a ship named the Pinto or something. That's a tough one. I fit in as many bean puns as I can. Let this not distract you from the fact that Noah Joyce is now your leader with Jamie Zalecki in the 07 to his outside. They've chosen at the cone, and now we're about to go back green as we head through turn number 4. Gonna make our way back to the Myco restart zone.
Yeah, the sheer amount of bean puns there, they really got me, Tommy. I'm not expecting those, but they were great nonetheless. Noah Joyce, Jamie Zalecki, row 1, Matt Steelman, Chris Pickett, row 2, Sean English, and Cam Barnes, row 3, Austin Spencer, Jack Healy, row 4, and Garrett Sidner and Steven Merzlak, row 5 for this restart. Noah Joyce with the control the restart. He hits the gas. Green flag's back out at Daytona.
A little bit of a stack up behind him. That's going to allow that outside line to get a good push right there. That's Chris Pickett in the 29, pushing Jamie Zalecki. I don't know if he's going to have enough to clear him, though. Looks like Noah Joyce hangs on to lead for now. Cam Barnes moves behind Noah Joyce. He slides into that inside line.
Yeah, Tommy, I was just going to say that. Cam Barnes taking the opportunity to get to the bottom. The first chance he got, he took. I mean, that stalls out that outside line. We know Barnes is a really good pusher. He's going to push the issue every single lap on track, and he's all over the back bumper of that number 3 car.
Pretty much glued right there, like Elmer's. Cam Barnes on the back of Noah Joyce. I don't know if Dow actually owns Elmer's or something like that. Perhaps that's a sponsorship kind of thing they got going on there, but nonetheless, Noah Joyce right now leading this race in the 3 at Daytona. How about that?
Shades of Austin Dillon, the best driver to ever drive the 3 at Daytona. Doing a great job here on the bottom, holding off this whole field.
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that right now. Barnes in the 7, and behind him, Matthew Stillman. Those 3 have pulled into their own line on the bottom. That top line with Jamie Zalecki, it doesn't look like they're really getting places. I mean, they have plenty of cars. Oh! We got an accident.
Cars almost blowing over here.
Look out, these guys are still in the grass.
Coming back up the track. Oh, they're still wrecking. Oh, we're still wrecking. Oh, guys.
Oh, my goodness. Looks like Cal Lovell involved in that, as well as Garrett Sidnor. I mean, the only championship contender from last season that hasn't been involved in anything, really, is Steven Merzlak. Not a great start to the season for most of our championship 4 from the season ago.
Here you see it coming down the back straight away. That's going to be contact with off the front bumper of that 77 to the back bumper of the 29. 29, the 16 almost going up and over here. And coming back up the track. Just nothing you can do when you're down that grass. It's really hard to slow the car down.
And Joe, that's Jack Healy. I don't know. People have got to be wary if he's behind him. I think they've got to be thinking, I don't know if I want that guy behind me. Boy, you saw, just looking at the monitor right now, looking at that 29 and 16. Again, we've seen it with multiple cars tonight. Getting air, but not quite flipping. I mean, that's a good thing, but they're not rolling over. But quite the ride, I'm sure, behind the wheel of those 2 machines.
Now, what's the phrase? I bring my friends to the track with me. I don't meet him out on the racing surface. And Jack Healy, he's got to start wondering how many friends he's brought to the track tonight. He's already been involved in 2 of these incidents with cars going off the front bumper of his number 77 car, and that was just a bad bump, Tommy. You cannot be making contact with the right rear of another driver, especially going in a straight line.
Yeah, I gotta say, Joe, you can't be making mistakes like that. Not just Jack Healy, but anybody. You can't afford to do that. It's early on. We're just past a quarter of the way through this race. I don't know. I think these guys, if I was behind the wheel, this is a situation where maybe if I'm in one of these guys' shoes, maybe I go to the back because I'm seeing them being pretty aggressive up near the front, especially that top line, trying to get something going. And maybe I just hang out at the back for a bit.
We're getting reports from the number 98 car, Ricky Collette. He can't feel his tailbone.
How does that happens?
That hurts.
Literally. Well, kind of. Sure.
Here we go. Cars coming down pit road here. Couple takers towards the front, but a lot of guys towards the back now coming down.
Couple takers, couple fakers. Matthew Stillman, he's going to lead a lap here. Indeed, he will. That's his first lap led of the season in that beautiful Kellogg's Mustang.
It is beautiful.
One of the better looking cars out here tonight. I know a lot look great, but I got to say, quite an iconic paint scheme in NASCAR history.
That's Scary Terry right there.
That's right. I don't think we call him Scary Matt or anything like that. But we'll get back to you on that one. We'll work on it.
Believe we will be choosing this time by Tommy.
Looks like we're setting up for it, certainly. I don't know. I've seen guys try that high line right now, Joe, and I'm just not seeing it. They're putting in a lot of effort up there, but normally you can get a certain amount of cars up there, and then all of a sudden that high line will just get started. But yeah, so far I don't know.
I'm just kind of worried that if we start getting complacent, though, if we don't keep trying to make it work on the outside line, we're not going to be able to get it to work at the end when you really need it. You got to get a little bit of confidence up there. If I'm one of these guys towards the back, I'm thinking about maybe going up there just to try to get other guys to push me, get other guys to maybe think, hey, this line is a little bit viable towards the end of this race, because I know some of these guys are definitely going to have to try to make up spots towards the end of the race, and they definitely know who they are at this point.
Yeah, but I'd also say, Joe, I mean, early on like this, you got plenty of time left. It's kind of all a timing thing, right? When do you make that move to go up front? I don't know. We'll have to see what these guys decide to do. You don't want to leave it too late, but also you don't want to go too early to get yourself caught out and left in the dust.
Yeah, so Steelman, he's going to have the control of this restart with Jamie Zalecki to his outside, Austin Spencer, Cam Barnes, row 2, Steven Merzlak, and I believe, I have no idea who's in that the third car on the outside. Green flag's back out here at Daytona.
That's Wong Do in the 54. Some of you watching may know him from the That One Asian YouTube channel. He's going to slide into that bottom line. Hey, and speaking of bean machines, though, Joe, we have another one back up towards the front of the field. Joseph Weaver has recovered from starting this race 2 laps down.
Weaver doing a great job getting out here on the speedway, getting those laps back.
You got to wonder, though, hopefully that team has prepared a car with an engine under there that doesn't expire. It happened to the other bean machine, in the normal bean machine, in the big bean machine that Joseph Weaver's in. You got to think about, geez, watch those dials. Hopefully it doesn't blow up on you.
I would just like to say real quick, number 1 Clemson just lost to number 4 Notre Dame in Notre Dame. Notre Dame students just stormed the field, so watch out for an outbreak there at Notre Dame, just saying. Matthew Steelman, though, out front here. Austin Spencer in second. Steven Merzlak in third. Cam Barnes fourth. Wong Do in fifth. And again, Tommy, it's that inside line just really prevailing here.
Yeah, and it looks like things are pretty much, they're figuring it out. They're just kind of staying down there. I don't know. I mean, there's, again, Jamie Zalecki's been leading that outside line now. We've seen guys lead that line. We've seen guys in that line, but nothing's really been working up there yet. And I don't know. I mean, right now, they don't really have a choice but to stay up there. There's no room down below where they are, but I think at least for the time being, if you're going to go anywhere, it'd be to that bottom line.
I mean, and these guys, they got to start thinking, we've had a bunch of big wrecks here to start this race. Yes, it's moderate damage, but those big wrecks, they really interrupt the flow of this race. We're just over a quarter of the way into it here, Tommy, and it's just troubling to see.
Yeah, 70 laps to go. There's a lot of time. I don't know. I don't think you even have your hand near the panic button. If you're any one of these drivers at the front or the back, I mean, there's just so much time left, Joe. And I think I'm more of a patient kind of driver in that regard. So maybe I wouldn't worry, and some of these other guys, maybe this is their go or go home situation. But I think for me right now, there's no issue right now to press on track.
Definitely no issue to press right now. Steelman, though, out front. He's got a Ford teammate of Austin Spencer right behind him. Steven Merzlak in third, Cam Barnes fourth, and another fourth, and fifth is Wong Do. Tommy, this is JTN. It's your home for NR 2003. Make sure if you haven't already, you hit that subscribe button. You hit the like button on this video. You go back, you check out all our different NR 2003 broadcasts. We'll have more of them coming to you this week. Monday night, Tommy, you'll be joining me up in the booth at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the SRA National Championship IndyCar Series at Indianapolis for their Indy 200, 80 laps at the famed 2.5 mile speedway. And then Tuesday night, we'll have the Hobo Racing League Cup Series. It's championship season finale night there at Hobo for their Cup guys. 4 guys going into the race with a chance at the title at Phoenix. It will be a shootout. And you can also listen to the Fake Racers podcast Wednesday night here on JTN, where I'll talk with tonight's pole sitter, Davey Hazard, who didn't have a good week here. We'll talk about the race here at Daytona tonight, what it means for his season. We'll also talk about NASCAR Championship weekend.
Well, Joe, here we are, Daytona, right? Unlike the name might suggest, this is not a day race, this is a night race. And you can see this track is being lit up quite well. Well, outdoor lights right there. Speaking of which, if you want some OWN for your own home, from the porch to the patio and everywhere in between, visit GardenLightsDirect.com. That's GardenLightsDirect.com for outdoor lighting and holiday festivity lighting. At your discretion, it's all available online, shipped to your home at a great price. That's GardenLightsDirect.com. GardenLightsDirect.com.
And just what a great company there, Tommy. I know you got a lot of great connections with the folks there at GardenLightsDirect.com, and make sure you go check them out for all your garden light needs.
Well, one upside, if there is one, of Davey Hazard retiring early, we're going to have a line to him down in the garage area, getting a feed on what these drivers are feeling, and some fuel numbers possibly on how many more laps they can go in a run. So we'll get some good information from Davey. And that'll be a very cool insight into the broadcast for us.
And we know Davey, all last season in the races when he would be got knocked out of, he was always going down onto the pit box. The number 4 of his teammate, Steven Merzlak, helping Steven get better throughout the season. And Steven ended up beating him for the championship. So Davey, again, doing that this season, working with his PTR guys.
And it's like that, Joe. You help them, and they beat you.
Makes you wonder why you help them, but then, dang it, it just feels so good to help somebody and see them do well.
That's right. Well, hey, thank you all watching. If you subscribed and helped us out, I appreciate you. If you've left a like on this video, well, we've got quite a few, and boy, a good number of viewers as well. Thank you so much. Tonight, we appreciate the support, everybody in the chat as well, and watching at home. This is awesome.
And it's just an awesome time here with the Red Bull Cup Series. Again, thanks to John Peterson for having us out. Helping get us broadcast 24 again races, though. Jamie Zalecki, big moment there down the back straightaway in front of that beating machine of Joseph Weaver. Just so great support here on JTN. We really appreciate all y'all tuning in tonight and continue to tune in and watch all the videos. We saw the big spike of viewership this week. Appreciate that. As always, big spike in subscribers. As Tommy, we eclipsed the 300 subscriber mark in less than a week since we eclipsed the 250 subscriber mark.
Seriously, and it also feels like we just hit 200 not too long ago. So growing in a big way here at the JoeTowNetwork, and we appreciate each and every one of you, no matter if that number is 300 or 300,000.
One can dream, and we really appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. And Tommy, we're starting to we're getting a good feel for this race. We're starting to get these green flag laps. We're ticking them away one after another. Right now, though, I'm noticing, Steven Merzlak, he's up here sitting in third, but he doesn't really have a lot of help behind him. I don't see any of those PTR cars anywhere close to the number 4.
Yeah, his next nearest teammate by association looks like it's Joseph Weaver. He's a bit back on that outside line, so yeah, a little bit of alone time for that 4 car, stuck between a bunch of Fords. So right now, that 4 car kind of on his own. We saw the 75 and him working well together, but right now, Steven in a land on his own, tucked in behind some leading Fords of the 51 of Matthew Steelman and the 13 of Austin Spencer. Joe, we got about 20 laps left of fuel in the tank for these guys on this run if we go green to the end and see pit stops, so keep that in mind. That puts us at about lap number 57, 58, around there somewhere. You get 30 on a full run, so if this thing stays green, we're going to see some green flag pit stops that will definitely shake things up.
Yeah, green flag pit stops, Tommy, we saw last night. Give us some insight. There were a lot of guys having trouble with those pit stops last night. We saw crashes coming to pit road. How do we avoid that same thing happening tonight?
Well, I can tell you at least some things that I do as a driver to avoid. I really don't like going with a whole bunch of people. You can't go necessarily by yourself. You're not going to have any draft on the way in or out. You just got to try and time it so you have the clearest entry you possibly can, and then also position your car in a way that you have the clearest entry you can as well. And for me, I brake a lot later than I think a lot of people do. So I really focus on, making sure I have a clear track in front of me. I won't hit somebody. And if I look like I'm going to, I try and change course, but very slightly, because you've got to watch out. When you're on those brakes, things can snap away from you, especially depending on what your brake bias is set to.
Yeah, brake bias is a pretty, oh boy, big bump there in the back of the 8 car from, I believe that was the 42 of William Page. Page letting Trey get back up in line. He looks like he's going to back off, and he's got teammate behind him and Darren Ingram. They get back in line there, but bad bumps. We've seen a lot of bad bumps tonight. Is that just a product of the package here?
What can happen, Joe, when you're just not lined up correctly? I mean, the back of these cars are square, right? So you're not going to, but you hit those a little bit wrong. Given the change in speeds that some of these cars are going to have, could affect how that front car handles. And if it's off to one side too much, it could spin you around, like you've seen multiple times tonight. And speaking of which, a few cars here who have been involved in incidents, the number 10 of Joseph Weaver and the 28 of Austin Hakes, I'm hearing that they do have some damage, and if they don't have guys directly behind them, they're going to be off pace. So they're desperate for help right now. They've been kind of mired back in the pack. Joseph Weaver, even though he's on the outside line, he's pretty much he's struggling right now. Nobody near behind him. Jesse Dalton quite a bit of ways behind. He's just going to keep slipping back further.
Yeah, and when you got damage like that, your biggest hope is that someone's going to maybe give you a break, right? They're going to go up there, they're going to push you. Looks like his teammate thought about it there for a second. We're coming up on a lap of traffic, so this is going to make it a little sketchy. Yeah, it's Ray Tustin in the 18.
Yeah, that's a car that we know has significant damage. He rolled times on the backstretch a couple cautions ago. So, but yeah, to your point, Joe, yes, when you're in the damaged car position, you want someone behind you. But boy, I'll tell you what, nothing may frustrate me more than if I've got a perfectly nice race car and I'm stuck behind a damaged one. I'll tell you what, it makes me tear my hair out. I'm lucky I have some of it left still.
You got those luscious blonde locks,
Well, I appreciate it.
Well, that's that, what's the shampoo that you and Ryan use?
Oh, of course, White Ryan shampoo, some of the best on the market. Hey, man, if you're a gamer or just want to get into... that's not a good pitch. Hold on. If you're a good, upstanding citizen, you vote, you take out the trash, you return your shopping carts to the cart corral, White Ryan's the shampoo for you. Best stuff in the business, let me tell you.
It gives you so much volume to your hair, and it just lets you do so much more than
That's right.
any other
if
shampoo.
You've seen Ryan Pace, if you know Ryan Pace, and we've seen him on the broadcast before in fast races, if you know Ryan Pace, boy, the volume that guy's hair has, you can turn that up to 11, let me tell you. Dangerous volume. It could hurt your ears almost.
Again, working lap 42 here at Daytona for the United States Online Racing League Red Bull Cup Series, 42 of 100. Are we going to 100 or are we going to 101 since we used that first lap?
All right, I think we're going to go to 101. However, Joe, I must say, speaking of laps, though, we are about halfway through the fuel run. So if this thing stays green, we're about halfway through the time needed to come down to pit road. So just hang on, folks at home. If we do have green flag pit stops, it's going to be wild, let me say.
Here you see William Page and teammate Darren Ingram right behind him, the 42 and the 23. Red Bull machines that from John Peterson Racing this season. So, right, John Peterson Racing.
We formed an alliance, actually, Darren Ingram and John Peterson. It's Ingram Peterson Autosport, that IPA team. That's not a beer you're listening to. That's a team name. And those guys have great sponsorship from Red Bull and TWB this season.
It's really good when you see a sponsor on like 10 different cars. You know what I mean? It's a really good sign that sponsor's got a lot of longevity in the sport, and Red Bull and your company TWB being a big part of that this year for that team.
I hope you're not referencing JD Stacy in a snide way. Oh, and looks like we got some cars coming down now.
Oh, Steelman!
Steelman!
Oh, he's dead.
Perfect.
Oh no.
Well,
Maybe he's okay.
From going around, although a little kiss to the wall there. No, it's not Valentine's Day. That's a little bit of a mistake on entering pit road from our leader.
Here you'll see it again, just breaks loose. Hits that wall. He might get a commitment cone violation too, Tommy.
We'll have to see what the USORL officials deem. These are the guys, remember, they stayed out on that last yellow. They had to pit sooner than the other guys, so this is going to really split strategies here.
And we're going to see now Jeff Dixon taking the lead here. Is TWB Technologies, number 15, painted up like Michael Waltrip. Got John Peterson right behind him in that silver number 49 car. You know, a little shuffling around, Tommy. Now that we got less cars here, this inside line not able to break away from that outside line like we saw earlier.
Yeah, Joe, looks like we're going to get some in-car audio right here from the 98 of Ricky Collette on the situation. Let's see what he has to say.
Eggs.
All right, you heard it here first. Eggs right now. That could be a code word, Joe. I think that might be a code word.
Might be a code word. Might be. You never know, right? You never know. Austin Spencer coming back down to pit road. Where we get penalty, I assume. This 49
really
of Peterson, he is all over the back bumper of the 15 of Jeff Dixon. Oh, we're around.
And we're wrecking. Again. In the same spot. Oh, my goodness. Oh, huge contact for a couple of these cars right here.
Am I surprised? No. But am I shocked? Yes. The bean machine
I gotta tell you,
involved in this incident
has not been a good night. Boy, it's Lux Beans on the side of those cars. Oh, they could use some more luck, that's for sure.
Yeah, it looks
May
like
have to put it on twice next race.
Looks like the 07 of Jamie Zalecki hits the wall there. Weaver not able to check up in time. Makes contact with the back bumper of him, and that's what sets this wreck off.
Well, we've seen multiple wrecks in that same area of the track, which I mentioned, Joe, I'm surprised about. You know, usually you don't see many wrecks there in sim racing. We have seen quite a few tonight.
Rita JTN on board with Sean Whitehill in the 2 machine. Just everyone just not able to check up in time, and hard lick there to the right front of this 2 car. Ricky Collette looks like he might have got through. You heard eggs on the radio being called. I wonder if that meant throw some eggs on the track to make it a little slick there through the tri-oval.
Yeah, it could have been, Joe. Strategy has taken new forms recently. That might be one of them there.
Get one more time. Just all kinds of carnage here, Tommy. Just carnage. It's just crazy.
It's
Go crazy.
What else is crazy, Joe, is all those guys that pit, too. We have, you know, looks like 4 cars right now, a lap down. And for them, I mean, you know, you got to figure they're going to get the wave around here. I mean, considering they just pit. for fuel and maybe tires for a couple of them, but they're going to be towards the back of the pack. That strategy they were forced into by staying out on the last yellow. Doesn't look like it's going to pan out for them at the moment, as we are almost halfway through this race.
Continuing to click laps off there. Another big wreck takes out a lot of contenders. We see a lot of heavy damage. You saw heavy damage to the side of that number 23, Darren Ingram. He was our winner last night at Daytona, leading a lot of laps, right? He won last night.
He did. He also won the last Cup Series race here at the USORL Red Bull Cup Series.
Yes, he did at Homestead. You can watch that right now on JTN. Well, not right now. Wait a little bit. Get us through the end of this race, and then catch up on Season 6 here with the Red Bull Cup Series as we took you through the Play Oofs format here. That I said it right, Play Oofs.
Yeah, not the chase, like some people still call it.
How do people still call it the chase?
Because, well, if we really want to get into it, there shouldn't be a chase in real racing.
Oh, boy.
But we're going to have a whole Fake Racers podcast episode. I'll get on as a special guest. We'll talk about that. So stay tuned, folks.
It'll be fun. I'm going to make Tommy's head explode.
Nah, I don't think so. That's a press X to doubt on that one.
Everyone coming down pit road. Cam Barnes, though, I believe Cam Barnes is going to be our leader here as we cycle through, already pitting. Was with those first group of cars. It looked like him, Steven Merzlak, and Cal Laval were all able to get off pit road together and keep some momentum going. We saw Steelman and Sean English losing some of that track position and falling into the clutches of that lead pack before that incident there, Tommy.
Yeah, in fact, they were 3 wide, pretty much in the belly of the beast with that accident happening right around them. But for them, a strategy that didn't work out. But with the wave around here, going to be able to get back onto the lead lap and hopefully salvage a good finish. Still about halfway to go in this 100-lap race, so plenty of time for them to do so, but they're going to not need another incident like that to happen again for them. Sometimes at Daytona, it's not necessarily how fast you are, but it's what strategy you play, and that could decide your finishing position.
And we're going to be we're at a one-stop race now at this point, right, Tommy?
That's correct, Joe. Should be just one stop left for these guys.
I'll
tell you what, too. Mentally and physically, you think about these guys. They've had the duels. This is a longer night than it usually is, not just in the booth here, but also on the track, right? I mean, these guys, they've been through practice. They've been through qualifying. They had to sit through one duel, race in the other, and now we're finally here to the race, and we're only halfway through. That's taxing on these guys. It's a long night for them, longer than usual.
Long night for us up here in the booth. Cam Barnes, though, he's going to have control of this restart, Tommy, and that fatigue is definitely going to start setting in for these drivers. Barnes and Healy, row 1 with Merzlak and Page, row 2. Into the restart zone. Cam Barnes hits the gas, get there fast, green flags back out at Daytona.
Now, you mentioned fatigue. I have the luxury of living on the beautiful West Coast, best coast United States, where it's only 9 p.m., but back east now, just past midnight. So some of these guys, I'm sure, are getting tired on a Saturday night.
Well, it's now a Sunday night. Dun, 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 dun. Kick off your NFL Sunday with us here at JTN.
No better way to do it. Looks like we have a couple cars falling to the back right now. A pretty aggressive move there by William Page in the 42 car to get himself in that bottom line. Smart, though. I mean, that seems to be the preferred line. We got Ford, Toyota, alternating in that top 4 right now. Going back to the Chevy of Jeff Dixon in the TWB Chevrolet Camaro in 5th.
Oh, funny how you mentioned that TWB Chevy, but you didn't mention that Red Bull Toyota there sitting in 4th. That's John Peterson rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, and expect to see a TWB on that logo on that car next week at Mansfield. John Peterson and I talked before the race. He said he has a good feeling about Mansfield, Ohio next week. He's always been fast at that track. He looks to represent the TWB brand well, putting the W in TWB. That's John Peterson in the 49 car.
Right now, Steven Merzlak pulling out a line. It looks like William Page is going to try to go with him here, but thinks wiser of it. Merzlak going to drop to the back.
Call in from the Bean Machine camp. Looks like we got a retirement there. Both the 75 of Davey Hazard and now the 10 of Joseph Weaver. Bringing it to the garage. Both bean machines. Luck not on their side tonight. It's a double retirement for the bean machines.
Cameron Harker writes in, track download question mark. It's a league official track. You can check out the USORL SMS page to find out more about how to get registered with the United States Online Racing League. League exclusive track. Did I say official? Same thing.
Either or pretty much applies, I would say. We've got some great sponsors around the track like TWB, and we have some awesome haulers in the infield as well that are actually the haulers for all these cars you're seeing right now.
Merzlak around!
Oh, and that's a huge accident.
Tommy, I don't want to point it out, but do you know who was behind him there?
Who was that, Joe?
77 of Jack Healy.
Boy, oh boy. I'll tell you what, that 77, boy, he might be running back to his hauler after this race is over. Speaking of haulers, 2 leaving the track right now, headed back to Jacksonville. That's the 10 and 75 of Joseph Weaver and Davey Hazard. Let's let Bristol fetch the replay and take a look at what happened.
He already got the first one there. He just Healy making some contact with the back bumper of that 4. Another bad bump off the front nose of that 77. Hey, it's one way to get you on TV, right?
Right. I mean, sometimes, we've seen it before. Guys get involved in a bunch of wrecks, but I'll tell you what, they do show up on the broadcast a lot.
Might have been actually, I think the 4 of Merzlak might have made contact with the rear bumper of the 54 of Guangdong. Try to see if I can get a better look at that. Helicopter might be the best way to do so. Hard to tell there. We should be able to get on the Fast Null on board, though, with Steve Merzlak, our defending series champion. Second. Oh, yep, that's what it was. It was bumper ground. So sorry to Mr. Healy.
Well, hey, that's kind of the situation you put yourself in, Joe. That reputation you can gain just within a single race. And, going forward, he's going to carry that with him till the checkered flag and, maybe past it.
Oh, guys carry it past it. I mean, Tommy, I'm sure you and I, we could riff about a couple drivers that we know that we, would give a bad reputation, give them a bad name just because of incidents we've been involved in with them, previous races.
I'm not saying anything, Joe, but I can already think of some names. But I think every driver has that, Joe. I mean, it's racing. You're going to run into guys sometimes. You might hold a grudge for a race or two, maybe even a whole season. Hopefully not too much longer than that. It's just online racing, but...
this is my life, Tommy. It's a sim.
No comment. Running in the chat, Greg the Boulder says, Kyle Petty thinks that incredible. I would agree with that, Joe. I mean, that was incredible.
Incredible. If there was an incredible meter, it would be pegged at 10. Okay. See, everyone's choosing. Looks like everyone, though, towards the front decides to take that inside line.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be too surprising, although, Cameron Barnes up there right now, he just put himself all the way up to the front row. Who knows? Maybe this is the time it works out.
I mean, he puts himself up there, too, with fresh tires on that outside. We've seen wheel spin be an issue in the dual races more specifically, but we'll see how it works out here on this restart with William Page out front controlling it.
Help out that former series champion William Page making his full-time return. Hits the gas pedal. He's got a teammate right behind him in John Peterson. John Peterson, boy, he really wanted William Page back. He went out and got him, and he said he'd only drive for John. He's tied into a lifetime deal that I'm sure they're going to have fruitful negotiations for the rest of their careers.
Well, William Page once told me he would only sign with me, and then he went and signed with Ingram Peterson Autosports, so take it as you may, but William Page out front with help from his team owner, John Peterson, right behind him.
And right behind them, another TWB represented machine, 15 to Jeff Dixon right there. Looks like a Napa car. Nope. Guess again. That's TWB Technologies. Looking good up here from the booth and hopefully from your TV at home.
Well, what can TWB not do? They make an awesome Michael Waltrip throwback. They make an awesome, lunar excavation. That's the big thing that TWB is getting into right now. Property developments on that 98 car, Ricky Collette. I mean, what can TWB... Is there anything TWB can't do?
Well, you know the phrase, Joe. UPS, what can Brown do for you? You said it right there. What can't TWB do for you? But speaking specifically, if you want to light up your outside porch or patio or maybe another area of your home, visit GardenLightsDirect.com. They can do that at a great price, shipped right to your home. A variety of outdoor lights and accessories. Visit GardenLightsDirect.com for more information.
Especially in a time where everything seems so uncertain, make sure your backyard and your garden out front is lit up to perfection. That is GardenLightsDirect.com.
Right now, we have a bit of a static outside line. I don't think, again, one of these situations, they've got enough cars, they're maybe not losing any spots to the high line, the low line, excuse me, but they're not gaining, and we just haven't seen that yet. Anybody be able to gain out there? So we'll see. That's going to factor into the decisions these guys make, not just throughout the race, but especially when it gets down to crunch time at the end of this thing.
And I wonder, Tommy, what happens as that crunch time comes? Do we see this outside line start squeezing the inside a little bit more?
You can definitely have that, Joe. They're going to press down in the corners, try and stop them from getting as much momentum as possible on exit. And the side effect of that, you might gain some places, but also put you at more of a risk of a crash, especially in sim racing where things, we've seen it before in the broadcast, may come down to an internet connection.
Well, don't look now. I just saw the 13 of Austin Spencer. He might have blinked a little bit there just as you were saying it. A guy that had problems with his computer, Ricky Collette, writing in that his game crashed. LOL. Back on lead lap, though.
Well, good to hear he's back on the lead lap. He's gained a spot. He's up to 24th. 27 cars took the green flag tonight, Joe. That's a lot of them. And right now, of that amount, we're well over halfway now, and 25 still remain.
Just a great field here tonight. And right now, Cam Barnes is doing a great job leading that outside line. They're starting to make up ground, and he's going to be side by side with William Page going into turn one.
William Page leading laps here. It's been a while since he's engaged in Cup Series activity. He's been a part of the ARCA Series last season, won a few races in the number 157 car. But here on the Cup Series circuit, a former champion, returning to full-time competition, like we mentioned.
He's doing a great job up here in this number 42. But then again, he's got a great pusher there in the 49 of John Peterson, just doing a great job staying all over the back bumper of that 42, keeping him out front.
That's right, and like we saw Davey, when he came in here earlier to the broadcast, he said, boy, if anyone's going to be making moves at the end of something, it's John Peterson. Maybe not the best guy to have right behind you coming back to the end of a race, because you never know.
He's your team owner. He ain't going to wreck ya.
Yeah, I would suspect if it's William Page up front, John Peterson's going to stick to him. Hey, there's been a lot of talk for that outside line trying to get organized, and Joe, finally, it looks like they're able to make up some ground.
It looks like Cam Barnes was the man to do it. He's got that outside line humming. Here they come on the outside. Give Cam Barnes the lead going down into turn three.
The first time tonight we've seen that outside line take the lead in green flag conditions. If they can hold it together, they've got quite a few cars up there. They look a lot more organized and put together in the bottom line right now.
Ethan Mitchell writes in, how are you guys? Is this the Cup Series roster? And yes and no, it's the USORL Red Bull Cup Series here from Daytona, an online racing league broadcasted live here on JTN. These guys, 25 of them still involved in this race, racing from their homes around the country and around the world. So a great group of guys here racing live on JTN. We're going to continue to do it every Saturday night for the foreseeable future. 24 races out of their 30-race schedule.
Yeah, DJ Harris, the Canadian, couldn't make it tonight. However, we are international when he shows up. Pretty fun to say, I suppose.
Yeah, these guys, they put on some great racing, and they got some great paint schemes. We got some great painters in this field. Everyone usually painting their own cars or their own team's cars, but right now the guy out front, He's got a pretty simple looking scheme on that number 7, but it's Cam Barnes, and he was able to lead this outside line with help from that 12 Calaval.
Well, Joe, you know me. You know how I paint my cars. I prefer simple. I think simple, basic is better. And boy, he's looking great. Not just up front, but also that car looks beautiful. A great number front there. Cam Barnes, you remember last season here, bit of a falling out with his old team, raced some independent races towards the end of the season, ran well, and now getting the drive with Spencer Racing, that's Austin Spencer's team, in the number 7 Ford Mustang.
He's doing a really good job behind the wheel of that Ford Motorcraft Quick Lane Ford Mustang out front. Got Calaval right behind him and Matthew Steelman. So we got a couple Fords up here at the front of the field right now, Tommy. And all throughout the night, it's been the Toyotas, but now the Fords, you know, the top 6 in that outside line right now.
Yeah, so far, I mean, the Fords have organized great, and that's what they needed to do. We talked a little bit about manufacturers helping manufacturers. 2 Toyotas already out of this race. That's the 10 and 75 of Davey Hazard and Joseph Weaver. And you know, those 2 guys will work together. But right now, it's the Fords showing up strong, and we got an accident. Another caution. Jack Healy involved, Garrett Sidnor involved. The 55 of Michael Murata also involved.
That doesn't help the narrative.
Certainly not.
Your replay. We are coming down the back straightaway. Oh, Trey Coleman. Hard into the outside wall. He keeps riding that wall. I wonder if his wheel might have come unplugged.
Sometimes that happens. I mean, we've seen it happen, you know, in real life too. Sometimes guys' wheels pop off their stands. That just could be the case there. A safety issue with that 8 car.
You see it again. The car just turns dead right into the corner. It's up right in front of the 16 of Garrett Sidner. Sidner involved again. Sean English getting into the back of the 77 of Healy. Healy not making any contact with anything too significant. Definitely the guys that got the worst out of that. Garrett Sidner and the guy that caused it. Trey Coleman in that number 8.
It doesn't look like too much scuff up for anybody else, although I got to tell you, that was kind of a hard hit for that 8 car into the wall. You know, I hope that Craftsman team, again, we know they've got the tools to fix it as long as they have the know-how and the time. I'm sure they'll get that 8 car fixed and back up front in no time.
Go to our TWB on board with Ricky Collette next. You'll see the incident happen up in front of you. Just see a car coming from the bottom lane. He'll just all of a sudden turn right. There it is. Ricky doing a great job getting on the brakes, getting out of the way, letting everyone figure out their business.
So it looks like everybody's coming down pit road. Most everybody. Chris Pickett and Noah Joyce staying out. At this point, Joe, it's going to be close, but I don't think we're quite going to get to this being the final stop. We've got a ways to go yet over the fuel window. So I would assume these guys are still going to have to pit one more time in this race.
Guys coming out of their stalls while other guys are going in. Cam Barnes making contact with the 8. Trey Coleman. Coleman trying to get into his stall. Just not a good night for Coleman here. All the cars coming off pit road.
We saw on Monday night, which, by the way, the winner of that race is in the booth right now. And the winner of the opening Super Speedway Series race last Friday is also in the booth.
I won them both, you're right.
Well, you won one of those. But on Monday night, we saw quite a bit of pit road mishaps from Steven Merzlak. Go check out Caffeinated Pixels on YouTube if you want to find a video of that. Steve Merzlak in the 4 car. With some issues on pit road, although this time looked okay.
And Tommy winning Monday night here at Daytona in the Light Series.
That's right. That's right.
Bringing that TWB car, number 57, home in the first position at Daytona. Opening up your season with a win, that's always a big thing. And we've talked about that throughout the night as we're going to hit the choose cone. Well, don't hit the choose cone. You don't want to hit it.
That's right. Important to mention. You hit that choose cone square in the middle. You hit that box right there. You're going to the end of the longest one.
We wrecked. Ray Coleman and Garrett Sidner making more contact as they were
Oh, that's
choosing.
no good.
That's not what you like to see broadcast live here on JTN for everyone to see.
I'm sure their faces are red at the current moment.
You see him out there on the outside line, both choosing that high line. It's going to be Chris Pickett with control of this restart, unless he decides to come down pit road this time like he did earlier. He does not, so he's going to have control of this one with Noah Joyce to his outside. Into the restart zone. Green flag, we're back racing here at Daytona.
I don't know, Joe. That 29 team probably made a good move right there if we get a caution within the next, 15 or so laps, because at that point, you'll be able to make it on fuel to the end for sure. We assume everyone is going to have to stop one more time. It's going to be close. We think everyone's going to have to stop one more time. And if that's the case, Chris Pickett may have just picked up a bunch of track position.
Great job here. Running down the back straightaway.
Tell you what, Joe, we saw that outside line when they got organized and got enough cars. They were actually making moves up there. For the moment, that bottom line is where everybody is. But I got to say, Joe, contact.
Oh, boys, save it. We saved it.
Got a save right there.
William Page coming off pit road.
Looks like he had his game crashed there, had an issue.
Yikes.
So he went from the lead not too long ago. Now he's a lap down. If we get a yellow, we should get that lap back. But unfortunate circumstances there for the 42 car. And it looks like the high line still hanging tough there with Noah Joyce leading it.
He's got a good pusher there. The 07 of Jamie Zalecki. Cam Barnes, though, on the bottom, pushing the 29 of Chris Pickett. Cal Laval right behind him, and Steelman and Spencer. So a bunch of Fords on the bottom with the Ford second on the outside, pushing a Chevrolet on that outside, the 3 of Noah Joyce.
Yeah, and right now, check it out. That outside line's going to take the lead, it looks like. Surprising, Joe, I got to say. I think they figured it out. I think they know what they need to do to get that outside line working, and they're using it to their advantage right now. Boy, a little bit of shuffling on the inside line, too, especially between Cal Lovell in the 12, Cam Barnes in the 7. Jamie Zalecki looking to the low side to take the lead.
Yeah, he wants to get that Ford freight train hooked back up. We saw it on that last green flag run. They were able to make the top work. Now they're going to try to make the bottom work here. Coming off turn 4, give Jamie Zalecki the lead.
Good point, Joe. We've seen that manufacturer support working together well.
And of course, as quick as you can take the lead here at Daytona, you can lose it. Noah Joyce back out in front through the trial, rolling down into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, Zalecki, I think he really wants to lead a lap as well. Remember, like, nets you 1 bonus point, and in a league where every point matters, it could come down to 1 point to decide who's in and out of the playoffs.
Oh, buddy.
Get on later in the season.
Bad bumps, don't give them.
Well, not only has the outside line come alive, but it's starting to pull away a little bit up top.
Yeah, but they got less cars up in the outside line than the inside. Inside, though, a lot less organized. Long Joe right on the back bumper and Noah Joyce. Sean English looking to the bottom here. He gets down in front of Zalecki. He's going to be the new leader down there on that inside line.
Sean English, he won duel number 1 tonight in that Dodge Challenger, one of the only Mopar powered machine in the field. Boy, imagine that, a debut for that team and that 32 Valvoline machine to win tonight would be huge for them to lock themselves into the playoffs. Just about 30 laps to go. We still think they've got to pit one more time. That outside line has come alive here and looks like they've got no help down below.
Yeah, everyone's starting to migrate to the outside, Tommy. Why is that?
Well, I think it's just a matter of opportunity. They see that they can get more positions up there. I mean, things kind of ebb and flow throughout a race. One line may be preferred at a different time as another, but I think you saw last run before that yellow, people really figured out that high line. I think they know what to do now, what they need to make happen up there to get it to be better than the low line. You're seeing the result of that up there now.
Toyota's up there, Huang Do and Austin Hakes there, running second and third. Noah Joyce up front in that beautiful number 3 Dow Chemicals machine with Jesse Dalton in the 99 now looking to the inside of the 28 of Hakes.
Yeah, Hakes in that 28, one of those cars we think has some damage there, so he needs a pusher to help him be up there right now. Third in the top lane. Right behind him, Garrett Sidnor, one of those championship competitors from last season at Homestead. Noah Joyce leads the way still on that outside line, although there are a lot more cars on the bottom. They just don't seem to be organized right now.
You think a lot of guys at the back on the bottom might be fuel saving, Tommy. You said they were really close to on their fuel. They probably can't make it, but maybe staying back there on the bottom, save a little fuel, push the clutch in, turn the motor off. It's a good strategy to try to make it to the end, especially if you don't have the track position like those guys towards the back.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head on that one, Joe. Could have a lot of guys saving fuel back there. I think there's a whole group of them, including Jeff Dixon in the 15. He was up front, just a little bit of go, but Sean Whitehill also back there, Michael Murata, and the 11 of Antonio Ruiz as well, and our boy Ricky Collette in the TWB property development machine.
Greg the Boulder writes in, by the way, first-time viewer and enjoying the coverage so far. He also wrote in that he loves the lane choice rule and can't agree more on that one. And thank you so much for the compliment. We appreciate it. We appreciate you checking us out and enjoying the coverage. We love to bring it to you guys, and we're going to have more of it Monday night with the ASRA National Championship from Indianapolis. That's going to be a 200-mile race. I stressed those syllables a little weird there, Tommy, but 200 miles, 80 laps there from Indy. And then Tuesday night, we'll have the Hobo Racing League Championship race from Phoenix. There are 4 drivers battling for the championship in the current playoff format style.
Yeah, Joe, it'll be fun to join you in the ASRI race on Monday. Indianapolis, one of those tracks that everybody knows, and should be a fun time there. Hey, speaking of fun times, looks like things are heating up front. Noah Joyce slides in front of Jesse Dalton there on that bottom line. Looks like that bottom line's coming back a little bit.
We got some good cars down there now. Merzlak down there, English down there, Zalecki all on the bottom. It looks like those guys towards the back. We're getting a little more even about cars that are willing to push it. Dalton, though, makes a big move to the outside to get in front of the 54 of Huang Do.
We're making moves here, Joe. We're coming down to the closing stages of this race. Just about a quarter to go. We think, again, they're going to have to make one more stop maybe, but boy, it's going to be awfully close on fuel. People in the back clutching, trying to save every bit of fuel they can. And I think, Joe, some of these guys maybe also just looking to save as much as they can, so they only have to take a little bit of fuel on the pit stop as well. Minimize that time on pit road. I think that's a smart call.
Yeah, 2 guys that I know back there, they're part of the Team Towanski family over in Fast. And one of them over here in USORL, I believe, is, well, yes, it is. The 2 is Sean Whitehill in that JTN machine, and then the 55 of Mikey Murata, both part of the Team Towanski family, where we have Ryan Pace, the master fuel saver, teaching us how to save fuel, and those 2 sitting towards the back right now doing a great job of that.
Now, speaking of saving fuel, what it sounds like on the scanner right now, doesn't look like anyone's really committed to being sure they can go to the end on fuel. Looks like it's more of a situation where they're just trying to make it as long as they can go. Though I will remind you, Joe, Chris Pickett and Noah Joyce, we think they stayed out last time. I don't think they're going to make it to the end, and I think they're going to be in a tough position here if we don't get a yellow flag anytime soon.
Yeah, Noah Joyce has been leading all these laps out front, so we know he's probably using more fuel than that 29 of Pickett. So we'll have to watch that play out throughout this race. If those 2 have to come down pit road by themselves, it's going to be a very lonely trip down the pit lane to get service on those 2 vehicles.
If they go together, I think they might have a shot at it. But again, not being in that main group, that big draft where you get the most speed, that's going to be a tough hill to climb for them, certainly, as we're in the closing stages of this race.
A lot of close racing throughout the pack. You're watching Dalton. We got Cam Barnes, Trey Coleman, Jack Healy, Huang Do there, all in the mid-pack right now. A guy starting to make his way towards the front is that 16 of Garrett Sidner, though, in the Crunchyroll machine.
That's right. He's been involved in quite a few incidents tonight, but it doesn't look like that's affected the 16 car too much. He's still looking to make moves. That car looks to be still under full power, and right now he's found himself into the top 5.
He actually whipped himself up some really cool shirts for this season, and great to see all of our these drivers really investing in themselves and their brands and their names, and the race car is out on track, and you just love to see it here with sim racing in NR 2003. It's a real good sticking point to prove that this community, it's strong.
That's right. And folks at home, you're watching the USORL Red Bull Cup Series season opener at Daytona on the JoeTowNetwork. Subscribe if you're new. We'd love to have you back for future racing events. We'll be on pretty much every Saturday night for the next couple of months broadcasting this racing league. And hit that like button to help us out. We've got a lot of viewers tonight. We've appreciated the support all night long. Great to see a lot of support out there, and we appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Sidnor getting low. I don't think he's going to pit. Oh, what is he doing?
Oh, Sidner, no! Oh, he's spinning. No caution. All by himself.
Oh, boy.
Yikes.
I don't know what went wrong with that 16 machine. But we were just talking about how he found his way back into the top 5.
That's a little scary there, huh?
Well, you know, sometimes in sim racing, you know, we heard about Denny Hamlin a couple months back in the iRacing series, his monitor getting turned off. Perhaps a similar situation for the 16. I don't think he has any kids at home, but certainly sometimes, you know, he's unplug a cord accidentally.
Sometimes the wheel just comes unplugged. We talked about wheels coming off the steering column in an actual race car. I've only seen that happen really once. Of course, it happens to Dale Jr., so we'll all remember it. Right now, a guy embodying the spirit of Dale. It's no Joyce in this 3-car leading the way in the Dow Chemicals machine, followed by Steven Merzlak, Jamie Zalecki, Chris Pickett, and Sean English, your top 5.
And you know he's leading. It's a big question on fuel for those guys. That 3 and the 29, they're going to have to pit sometime soon. They sit out on the last yellow. We'll see if these guys pit anytime soon. I don't know, Joe.
And sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah, no. And I got to tell you, you know, I wish I could have a textbook on it because right now I don't. I just don't know what's going to happen. Hey, but that's the fun of racing. You know, we're out here. Uncertainty abounds. And uncertainty, certainly for every one of these, one thing that's certain is the uncertainty of the fuel situation for these drivers. I don't think anyone can make it to the end, but it's going to be close. If anyone can and doesn't have to pit, they could be the winners of this racing event.
You gotta wonder too, Tommy, what it's gonna look like when this thing comes to an end. We're talking about guys having to pit. We think everyone's gonna have to make another trip down pit lane, even if it's just for a splash of gas and go. But we saw it's hard to pit under green flag here at Daytona. You'd think it's easy. You got that huge pad of asphalt down there. And Zalecki really loose through the tri-oval there. You'd think it's easy. You'd think it's easy to space out. But sometimes guys, they either overjudge it, or they misjudge it, overjudge it. They misjudge it coming down pit road, or, you know, they just run somebody over not paying enough attention.
Well, Joe, think about the difference in speed that you're trying to get down to. These guys are running near 200 miles an hour, and they've got to slow to pit road speed, which is 55 miles an hour, and they got to do it as quickly as possible to make sure they're not going too slow into pit road or too fast. So there's a lot at play. These guys have got a lot on their plate when it comes to green flag pit stops, and it's all going to matter because the best stop you can get might just put your day, might just change your day from the back to the front, like it did for me on Monday night.
You talk about Monday. Oh, we got big.
Accident. Hard contact for the 7 of Cameron Barnes. The 99 up and over. He's rolling on the front strap.
No.
And another yellow. And Joe, this is going to seal the deal for fuel. And that's exactly what the 3 and 29 needed.
Yeah, but it's definitely not something you want to see. A scary crash here coming through the tri-oval with the 99 at Dalton. Well, that's bumper grab.
My goodness, and that 99 Keystone Light machine of Jesse Dalton, boy, it got tossed around like a rag doll.
That's scary. Now let's go with our visor cam there with Dalton. Kind of excited to see this because we might actually hear, you know, a little slosh of his brain going around, you know?
Possibly, although I hope his cranium is still intact after that one.
Here you see it, yeah, just bumper grab with the back end of the 32, gets into the 49 of Peterson there, that silver Red Bull car, and then here we go. Slosh, slosh, slosh. Just you hear the brain matter just going everywhere inside of his skull. It hurts my head.
Yeah. I think we need to hire a new Foley artist, that's all I know.
A new what?
A new Foley artist?
Yeah, I'm lost.
Foley, that's what they call like the guys who make the sounds for movies, like footsteps, right? We got pit stop here. Noah Joyce coming down. He'll lead the field down. This is exactly the type of caution he needed as we end up getting close to the finish of this race. I mean, we're going to have, probably when we go green, somewhere just south of 15 to go.
And I thought my sound effect noises were good. Not as good as you smashing your desk.
Right. Well, that's iconic.
We got Jack Healy driving through the grass. I feel like I'm picking on him.
Check it out, though. No. Check it out, though, Joe. That difference in the amount of fuel they had to take on that pit stop for that 3 car is going to put them back quite a few spots. Give the lead to, looks like, John Peterson in the 49.
Never mind. There he goes to the back.
Oh.
Sad.
All right. So Trey Coleman in the 8 car, he's going to inherit the lead. Remember, we saw him in an incident earlier this race, but it looks like the crew's done a good job to fix that car up. And they just had a great stop there to put him up front. Behind him, the 23 of Darren Ingram. That was a great-looking car, by the way, that 23.
Look at choose time, Tommy. Here we see everyone picking their lane. Don't run over that choose cone, boys. A little more of an even distribution here, Tommy. I wasn't expecting that. Throughout the night, we've seen it, like almost everyone deciding to take the bottom, but a lot of guys choosing to take the top here.
I think people are starting to have faith in that top line. We've seen it working a few times now. For some drivers, if they can get organized enough and get the numbers, I mean, we've seen the bottom line kind of struggle to stay together and work well. So we'll have to see how this plays out.
Green flag's back out here at Daytona.
Wow, great start right there for the 8 car of Trey Coleman. Looks like he's going to slide in front of Darren Ingram. Both of them had a phenomenal restart right now. Other drivers, not so much. Steven Merzlek in 3rd on the bottom line. Jamie Zalecki, boy, it seems like he has quite a bit tonight. He's leading now. That outside line with Sean English right behind him. But boy, things have really spaced out a bit. Trey Coleman leads into turn 3 on the inside line. To his outside, James Alecki in the 07 Shell V-Power Ford Mustang. Boy, it's a couple different oils up front there. Shell and Valvoline right behind him. The lone Dodge, that's Sean English. But it looks like the bottom line, the way things are right now, is going to prevail at the time for the time being.
That inside line starting to get going, and it's Trey Coleman and Darren Ingram, those two always working so good together. Great friends off the track, and on the track, better friends as they're out front here.
Yeah, right now it looks like that bottom line's strong. Although right now Steven Merzlek up to lead that outside line. We'll see if he can do anything right there. I gotta say, Joe, there's still plenty of time left, but we are getting down to the wire. You've got to set yourself in a good position to be able to make it to the end of this race towards the front because, Joe, anything can happen, but as time ticks down, you think you want to be up front at this point, I'd say.
And just checking in on Dalton there, who we saw take a big tumble on the last caution. A-OK still out there on track, charging away, trying to pick up some points here at the start of the season. Again, opening race, Tommy, and you want to make sure you make up as many points as you can. You don't want to lose them this early in the season.
Definitely not, Joe. And to review, just 2 drivers out of this race already, and that's going to be the number 10 of Joseph Weaver and the 75 of Davey Hazard. They will be credited with a 26th and 27th place finish, respectively. Not the start they wanted to the season, but definitely, it's up from here, certainly. You can't do any worse than this. Speaking of up from here, that outside line looks like they've found their chutzpah. They're out there right now with Steven Merzlak leading that line, Jimmy Zalecki pushing him, and they're doing well. Looks like they're a little bit unorganized off of turn 2 there, but Cam Barnes looks like he's in the sucker hole.
Yeah, and Merzlak's got to be a little worried, though, about the power plant underneath that number 4 car. We saw his teammate, Davey Hazard, who started on the pole, blew up early in this race. Merzlak's got to wonder if maybe he's going to have the same issue there with the number 4 car.
Yeah, and hopefully that thing stays together. I think if he can lead that line up there. I think he's a strong car. If that outside line has any shot at this thing, boy, I'll tell you what, they've got to figure it out right now. They're 3 wide deep in the field, and it's not helping their case.
3 wide deep in the field. That's really going to screw up the momentum of that outside line. Top 3 on the bottom breaking away now.
Yeah, and just checking in with Davey Hazard, our helpful reporter in the garage area right now. Team communications over the radios have fallen near silent right now. It's go time, and these drivers know it. We're working right now with 12 laps to go. This is the point in the race where you try and set yourself up to win. And for this bottom line right now, they're pulling back ahead. Matthew Steelman jumping to the outside line, though.
Steelman you got to start making it work, right? You got to start making passes. We're getting down to the end of this. You want to win the Verizon 250, the biggest race in the Red Bull Cup Series. Steelman leading that outside line, but he can't even get past third place Jack Haley.
A lot at stake right here. Not just the win, but also a lock into the playoffs. Playoffs later in the season. I mean, starting your season off with a win would be huge. And for right now, talk about this duo here. Trey Coleman and Darren Ingram, like you mentioned, friends on and off the racetrack. They work so well at super speedways. And right now, I got to say, they're doing a great job up front. Yeah, boy, if anyone wants to separate those two, that's probably going to be your only way to get by them.
And another guy making his way towards the front. Oh, he just made contact. No. Stay. Sean Whitehill down off I was about to mention it. Sean Whitehill, he was towards the back all throughout the night. Almost gave him the announcer's jinx there, but he had enough talent there to save the car. That number 2 JTN Ford Mustang.
Yeah, fantastic save there by the 2. He's trying to work his way into the top 5. It looks like we got some guys back in the pack abandoning that outside line. So once again, the inside's dominant. We've got 10 laps to go now, Joe. Just 10 to go, and that is the TWB 10 to go. Today, we'd like to push GardenLightsDirect.com for porches, patios, and more. Visit GardenLightsDirect.com for seasonal and all year-round lighting needs. That's GardenLightsDirect.com. Once again, GardenLightsDirect.com. That was your TWB 10 to go. Now just 9 to go. Working here at Daytona. Lap traffic up ahead. That's the 42 of William Page. He's going to the high side. Hopefully he won't be a factor. We might take these guys 3 wide. It might get sketchy.
It'll get sketchy for just a second, but it'll get better it'll get worse before it gets better, but it'll get better eventually. Big time bumps down the back straightaway, almost send Jeff Dixon through the grass, but Trey Coleman still leading with Darren Ingram right behind him. Matt Steelman, though, starting to make up some ground on that outside line.
Yep, you said it, Joe. They're making up just a little bit of ground, inching their way up to the front once again. And I think, Joe, if there's any chance for them, they've got to start marching up there now, and it looks like they are.
They're starting to squeeze that inside line, Tommy. I talked about it earlier. You're going to have to start kind of pinching them a little bit. It's a term we use, and we use it with a lot of disdain, but that outside line, if you want to get it moving, you really got to start getting down on those inside cars, and those inside cars, they start to move up the track a little bit to kind of counteract that. Big run down the back straightaway for Steelman.
As these tires wear, Joe, that inside line is going to slide up the track just a little bit. You got to be careful about that. But right now, this outside line has come alive. Matthew Steelman to the lead with Steven Merzlak right behind him, our Season 6 champion.
Merzlak giving him a good push there in the outside line, trying to get that 51 car out front. If he's cleared, it'll be interesting to see if he decides to stick with the outside or make a jump to the bottom. He's got Merzlak right behind him. Merzlak looks high, can't get the nose out to the outside, the right rear quarter of the 51, so it's going to stay in line here as we go down to turn 1.
Well, I don't know if the 51 even knows what he wants to do. He kind of shaded down to the inside, but decided to stay on the outside. I don't know if you're Matthew Stillman right now. It looks like all your help's on that high side, and Steve Merzlik's done a great job to push him up there. Yeah, the bottom line's going the wrong way. Haven't said that too many times tonight.
Alecki making a big move to the inside, looking for second on Merzlik. Steelman's going to go down there. Healy on the apron. Oh, that inside line's going to lose all its momentum here in a couple seconds, Tommy.
Steelman made that move to the inside. I don't think he's gonna be challenged too much by Merzlik, though. That outside line's got to kind of regroup. They lost their leader. Well, let's see if they can have a shot at this thing. Boy, now we're just working with 6 laps to go.
Tillman hits the apron a little bit. He's going to drift high. The 32 of English and the 8 of Trey Coleman making a lot of contact. Oh, Steelman, he's going to be in the middle. They put him in the sucker hole, Tommy.
Oh, no, and it's disastrous for Matthew Steelman. He was leading this race, and it looks like his chances of victory tonight have just plummeted. There's still a lot of, there's not that much time left, and if he gets shuffled back too far, maybe redemption is not going to be at the hand and the wheel for him, even if he does keep it still and perfect.
That's Merzlik and Zalecki right now for the lead. English trying to challenge up the outside. We're 3 by 3, 3 rows deep here, Tommy, through the tri-oval.
Well, we saw it last night, some 3-wide action at the end of the truck race. Sean English on the outside line, winner of Duel 1. How about that? They don't have the numbers, but they've got the heart.
They got the heart, and it's going to have to be enough here without the numbers. Down the back straightaway, they're going to have a little bit of momentum, but that inside line looks like he's pulling away with Zalecki in the lead.
5 laps to go, and we still don't know the winner. That outside line has pushed their way all the way up to the front. Sean English is right now leading this race on the very outside. It's just 3 cars up there. It's English, Peterson, and Noah Joyce. Those 3 up in the high line, but so far it's working.
Tommy, I don't know if this is going to end well. Remember, we're racing through lap 101 here at Daytona to get to our 250-mile mark.
Here we go. That's Merzlik in the middle, Season 6 champion. Zalecki on the inside in the 07, English on the outside, winner of Duel number 1. Boy, these cars, I tell you what, Joe, they're running really close. The intensity is picking up.
Still 3 by 3. Remember, Tommy, I don't know what to say. I don't know if there's anything more I could say. Just some great racing action, some great guys giving each other plenty of room as we're still 3 wide, coming to 3 to go.
Looks like there's a lap car up ahead. He's going to go to the apron. That's Antonio Ruiz in the 11 car. Very gentlemanlike move. Just getting out of the way of the leaders. This race is coming down to the wire. 3 laps to go. Oh, English hits the wall, and it's the big one.
Everyone involved.
Oh my goodness. Ingram involved. Trey Coleman involved. And this is going to set up a green-white checkered finish.
Have you ever?
A couple of times. It was just a cork that was ready to pop. It did. In a big way. And you know what, Joe? It was in a same spot like we've had wrecks in all night long. That short stretch between the start and finish line and turn number 1.
Looks like Sean English just makes contact with that outside wall, Tommy, and that's what sends him around. And just a bunch of craziness here as we're winding down these laps. And
we got a couple requests in for onboards. The 2 of Sean Whitehill, that's the JTN machine. We'll have to take a look at that.
Here we are with Mikey Murata. He makes his way through. He's towards the back here. You're going to kind of just see how he kind of snake through this wreck here. You just see the carnage everywhere around him. Here's the JTN on board with Sean Whitehill. Look at the seas part for Mr. Whitehill here in the 2 car.
Incredible. And I'll tell you what, man. Maybe that's some JTM luck right there. I'll tell you what. Well, Joe, we kind of had a feeling it might be this way. But here we are. A green-white checkered finish. We saw it in the trucks last night. You can only imagine that the pressure on these drivers is at an all-time high.
That's how, I mean, a lot of guys spinning. This is the premier race in the Red Bull Cup Series here in the United States Online Racing League. The Verizon 250, formerly the Daytona 250. And, yeah, I have no idea how these guys got through. Jamie Zalecki got a big bump to the back and somehow is our leader after that incident. We were 3 wide for 6-7 laps there. Whew.
Something had to give, and it did.
It did.
But I'll tell you what, Joe, we're heading down now. We're going to have a green-white checkered finish. I believe we have unlimited attempts in this series. It might only be 3. We're going to find out throughout the season for sure. But
only 3.
Right now, only 3? Okay.
We only got enough for 3.
Good point. All right. Jamie Zalecki leads the way. It looks like we will be choosing this time, and he's going to choose the bottom, along with Noah Joyce right behind him. Cameron Barnes follows suit, and
a lot of guys.
Spencer in the 13. He's going to take the outside, the first one to lead that line.
A lot of guys chose the inside there, Tommy. That kind of got back to what we saw earlier on tonight in this race, but it's going to be Zalecki, Spencer, row 1. Noah Joyce, Jack Healy, row 2. Cam Barnes, Garrett Sidner, row 3. Row 4, Sean Whitehill, Zach Krastowski. Row 5, Jeff Dixon, and the 49 of John Peterson, I believe. Yes.
I think a lot of that decision to choose the inside line there, Joe.
Oh, we're wrecking under yellow.
Well, a little bit of contact.
We're
it's
good.
just the number of laps we have left. I mean, it's only going to be 2 laps, right? We take the green, we take the white the next lap, we take the checker the next. Here we go to the white, or excuse me, to the green. Jamie Zalecki rolling off. He gets a great start there.
Yeah, he got a big jump. He's clear of both lanes here at the start. Looked like we were 3 wide there for a second. Zach Krastowski looked to make a move. Healy cuts right in front of the 2 of Sean Whitehill there. That ends everyone getting out of that outside line. No momentum there for Austin Spencer in the 13. Zalecki out front.
Yeah, I think that outside line's toast. I mean, you don't have that much time left, and I think, boy, I mean, I don't know. That's going to be tough for them to recover in such a short amount of time.
It's going to be really tough, Tommy. And Zalecki with the lead. He's got Noah Joyce right behind him. Cam Barnes in third. Look for that 7 car to make an aggressive move here as we come down to the end of this thing.
Yeah, I think if anyone's going to go out there, it could be Cam Barnes. I mean, he's got a great opportunity to do it. You know, we've seen him lead that high line before and be successful at it. Here we go, Joe. White flag, 1 lap to go.
Zalecki's got the lead. Spencer and Sidner trying to make up some ground on the outside. Don't know if they're going to have enough time to get there unless they get help in front of them. Noah Joyce right behind him. Cam Barnes in third. Healy fourth. Spencer looking for 5th on the outside of Whitehill. They're side by side for that position as we go down the back straightaway. Healy looks to the outside.
Barnes. Oh, there goes Noah Joyce. Noah Joyce looking to the inside now. He's looking for his first ever USORL Cup Series win. That 3 car, Noah Joyce. Oh, there goes Zalecki back. It's Joyce on the inside.
We got a crash towards the back.
Hard huge crash. It doesn't matter. We're racing back now. Contact.
Zalecki in the wall. Down through the tri-oval. Off of turn 4. Into the tri-oval. Whitehill through the grass. It's going to be Noah Joyce winning his first career race in the Red Bull Cup Series.
All right, and they're wrecking behind him. We got cars flying everywhere. Cars upside down, but it doesn't matter. Noah Joyce has done it. He's won at Daytona in the 3 car.
He did it.
He did it. And not only that, Joe, but he is going to the playoffs. Congratulations, Noah Joyce. He made the moves. He did it. He did it. Finally. 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Noah Joyce has won a Cup Series race.
What a fantastic
Unbelievable.
finish.
And you saw it live here on JTN. History being made.
Just craziness at the end. A lot of guys flipping over. I mean, just look at this 54 car. Whew.
Just incredible, Joe. We saw a thriller. I didn't know if anyone was going to have anything for Jamie Zalecki there. Noah Joyce, boy, it was almost like a crossover in basketball. He just made it work. Congratulations to him and that whole 3 team. He's done it. He's finally done it.
Cars coming over the line on their roof. Ricky Collette. 98, our good buddy there. This guy is racing out. We're going to go to our post-race coverage here.
Whew.
Actually, we'll see Noah Joyce is going to burn it down here in the infield at Daytona.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, he can burn out for as long as he wants to. He did it.
He did it. Waves hello to the virtual fans. And I didn't get the results, Tommy.
That's all right. We'll have him. It kicked pretty much everybody, but that's okay. We will have results for you. At least they scroll along the top ticker, so we got that at least. But wow, how about that? Noah Joyce, he's been trying now for a long time. In the race car right now, he's crying, he is shaking. He's done it. It's taken so long for him to finally win a Cup Series race, and he has done it. 130 races. Noah Joyce has found victory lane.
What an amazing finish to the race, Tommy. I mean, I don't think we could have asked for anything more.
It had it all, Joe. We even saw that Highline start to actually make some noise. And boy, I mean, I didn't think it would till late. It did, but it ended up under a green-white checkered finish, and Noah Joyce won this race. Let me step aside for a second to catch my breath, and boy, in a moment, we're going to have our post-race coverage, including interviews with our top three.
We're also going to get you the results. And again, thank you so much to everyone for tuning in tonight. What a fantastic race we had here with the Red Bull Cup Series. Again, we'll be back with you for the USRL Red Bull Cup Series next Saturday night, 10:40 p.m. Eastern Time, from Mansfield in what is to be a short track thriller. Make sure you're checking out all our sponsors, AutoSim, the related text-based racing game. It's autosim.weebly.com. Link in the description below. It's a great game. They got a great Discord going over there with all your modding needs and to get you some great mods and text-based mods. I mean, it's a great game. It's just a great game, guys. You can also check out JoeTow Designs. Use code JTN2 at checkout for 10% off your purchase. Some great racing-related designs there. Check out JoeTow Designs. You can also check out the JTN merch store, which has some great JTN merch to help support us here at JTN. The best way to do so, though, is to make sure that you are subscribed right here on JTN. We'll wait Tommy getting back. We're also going to get you the results here in post-race. Just waiting to get those from series officials. We know there was a lot of stuff going on there at the end of this thing. Hope to have you those results to you in just a moment. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, we appreciate you so much. You're on JTN. Again, check out all our sponsors. Check out TWB. Check out TommyBordeaux.com for more information about TWB. TWB's founder, Tommy Bordeaux. You can also check out GuardLightsDirect.com to help support Tommy and TWB, a great partner they have there. As well as checking out the JTN Facebook page. That's another great way to help support us here at JTN. Checking out our Facebook. And Tommy, we got the results. And we're going to start our interviews here. Why don't you bring in our winner tonight, Noah Joyce?
Sure thing, Joe. Let's bring him in.
Tommy's getting back. I'm like, duh. Long 3-hour broadcast tonight, Tommy.
Well, here he is. It took a long time, but finally tonight at Daytona, of all places, your winner in the USORL Red Bull Cup Series, Noah Joyce. Welcome to the booth, Noah.
Oh, thank you, Tommy.
It was an exciting race. You led a lot of laps tonight. You were up front until the very end, behind Jamie Zalecki on the last lap. Take us through those final moments coming to the checkered flag, knowing you are a USORL Cup Series winner.
I don't know how to explain it, really. I just found the hole and went for it. I was trying to get Sean a win up there on the top when we were 3 wide, and then luckily it just fell to me, I guess.
Yeah, Noah, we know first wins, they're very hard to come by, and sometimes they take a while. It's been a long time coming for you and the three teams. You're in the playoffs last year, the playoffs last year, but now to get a win here at Daytona, you know you're returning to that playoff format. What does it mean for you, the team? I mean, just first win. I know you're probably in a world of wonder right now, speechless, but sum it up for everyone at home because we all like the feel good story, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean it means so much because I've been here since the very first race for this league, and I run it, co-run it. So just to finally win one after 130 tries, and I normally barely scrape into the playoffs, so this is a weight lifted off my shoulders in more ways than one.
Well, you've done it in more than just scraping by this time. You are in, and you have a whole season ahead of you to enjoy, certainly. And I know how much first wins mean. They are huge. And on behalf of all of us at JTN, and personally from PTR, from TWB, congratulations tonight. Is there anyone that you want to thank for your victory here in the booth tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody who's ever been a teammate with me. I probably can't remember all their names, but Oakley right now, he's my teammate. I want to thank my brother, Ryan, if he's still watching. He probably fell asleep. And I want to thank you guys just for putting this on. I want to thank everybody at the USORL. They've always been such a great group. And I think that's about it.
Noah, again, congratulations on win number one. There's more coming, buddy. You got the first one's always the hardest to get, and I'm sure there's more on the horizon this year.
Thank you so much.
You bet. And Noah, one parting word. You are currently the Red Bull Cup Series points leader. Congratulations.
Thank you, Tommy.
Tommy, I think you can just hear it in his voice there. He sounds like he's shaking, right? I mean, he looks like he's shaking. He sounds like he's shaking. Just winning that first race, it means so much to these guys because for a lot of us, this is the closest we're ever going to get to real racing, and this is the closest we're ever going to get to competitive racing. And when you have a great group of guys like you do here at USORL that make it so tough to win because everyone's just so dang good at this sim racing thing, it means a lot to win.
It does, Joe, and I got to say, Noah's done a terrific job. Like you said, co-running the league. He's been in charge of the ARCA series, running that, the F1 series that we just finished up a few weeks ago. Does a terrific job for the whole league, and it's great to see someone get that first win. And it couldn't happen to a better person. Noah's great, and he doesn't talk that much if you know him and you're around the league. So to hear him tonight interview is quite the treat.
And we hope to do more of it throughout the year. Tommy, why don't you bring in second place finisher Cam Barnes for tonight's race?
And here he is, second place tonight. Came up just one spot short, but he was in a great position towards the end and up front nearly all night long, it seems like. Here he is, second place finisher, number 7, Cam Barnes. Welcome to the booth, Cam.
Thanks for having me.
Cam, we saw throughout the night you were one of the guys that was really willing to push the issue on the outside lane. What went into that strategy? I mean, you were the first guy that was successful in using that lane to get to the front of the field.
I think I was just one of the first ones to figure it out because I think there at the end you saw everybody trying to run it there with success, and having teammates behind you behind me let me experiment a little bit and try to run the bottom lane down to the yellow line to not let them get a run on the exit of the corner, and I think that's just what propelled us forward. And then once we were there, we can run up by the wall, and we would just keep gaining speed and momentum. But at the end there, it's just kind of everyone was kind of going crazy. Crazy is the best word to describe that.
Well, yeah, a green-white checkered situation like that, obviously intensity picks up a lot. It may not be the win you wanted tonight, but certainly a fantastic point stay for you in your hunt to go back to the playoffs. And Cam, I gotta say, as a viewer here, as well as the broadcaster, your car looked wonderful tonight. That Spencer Racing number 7 looked great on track, I must say.
Yeah, the number 7 Ford Motorcraft Spencer Racing Ford Mustang looked really good out there tonight, and it's time to let them know that we're here. We're not here to run second. We're here to win. But hopefully now that Noah gets a win, now hopefully we go out next week and light it up a little bit. But yeah, the EB Racing engines ran great. Had the little nose damage there, so I couldn't really pull out a line, or else I would have gotten freight trained. But it was fun. This track really let us run both lines there pretty effectively. So I'm happy with that, and I'm happy Noah could get his first win, because that's pretty awesome in the 3 machine at Daytona.
It was really awesome, and you were in that 7 car. Before we let you go, 2 things. Of course, thank everyone. You got all your sponsors in there, and I'm sure there's more, so thank the rest of them. But what do you think we're going to see next week at Mansfield?
Some good old short track action. The race last season there was tough. You had a couple guys that really knew their setup, and I really like to run on the short tracks there. But hopefully people calm down a little bit. We can get some green flag racing in there, and just not end up caught up in anybody else's mess. And hopefully we can get the win ultimately, or just another good finish. That was my issue last season. That's why I missed out on the Final Four. It came down to a win, came up just short, and couldn't make it. So this season it's going to be aggression. We're going to try to see if we can get a win early, and go from there.
Thank you so much for joining us up here after the race. Congratulations on the 2nd place finish, and good luck next week trying to get it one better.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Tommy, for all you do here, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Oh, we definitely did. Thanks, Cam. Tommy, that was Cam Barnes, the driver of the number 7 Ford Motorcraft Ford Mustang. And good finish for Cam. You could tell he was a little disappointed that he couldn't get to victory lane tonight, but again, just echoing that sentiment, just happy for Mr. Noah Joyce getting his first career victory.
And that's cool to see, Joe. I mean, that
Yeah.
tells you all you need to know about Noah Joyce and his reputation in the league.
And Tommy, we got one more interview on the docket, right?
That's right, we certainly do. It's going to be Jack Healy, our 3rd place finisher, coming in a second.
We talked about him all night, Tommy. We talked about he was really aggressive bumping. We saw some bad bumps throughout the race from the 77 car. He's now joining us up in the booth, Mr. Healy.
Hey. I wanna say something. Thanks for making me feel like a wrecking ball, because I was listening to the broadcast. I would say some severely choice words, but
hey,
that's not really heckin' nice,
Yeah, I know. My doggo was.
It's a PG stream, and I didn't realize that at Charlotte.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
Didn't you win that Charlotte race?
No, I got 2nd. Thanks for reminding me that I lost it.
Shoot, I'm not doing good up here in the booth with the Healy camp. But
wow.
Well, Jack, listen here. Listen, Jack.
Yeah, Tommy. Yeah, I got you, Tommy. What do you got, Tommy?
You had an interesting night, I must say.
Yeah.
We followed you. We might have had a microscope on you, but you did end up finishing 3rd.
Yeah.
And a good points day to start this season off. Take us through your journey at tonight's race, and what specifically at the end there.
That race was as unstable as I am. I really don't know, but I got into that one wreck. I forget what it was, but I got into 5 wrecks. Never mind, because I'm always in the wrong place, wrong time, or being a dum dum. And yeah, I don't really know how I got to there. I mean, I won the duel earlier, and I don't know how I got there. I don't know. I don't know how to win these plate races. I don't know what I'm doing half the time.
You just kind of wound up there, right?
Yeah, you just kind of end up there, and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Get me out of here.
Woohoo! I got a
Yeah.
victory.
Sometimes it ends up like that, but I gotta say, tonight for you, like I mentioned, a good points day, certainly. And up next is Mansfield. Thoughts on that?
Oh, sorry. Austin just said I was killing this interview. Thank you. I know I'm very good at people. But Mansfield, I was really good there last season, and then I wasn't, and then I finished like 7th. I led like 50 laps, do like the most of my career, but then I choked it because my name's Jack Healy, and I'm bad at racing. But yeah,
Well, you heard it there, folks. You couldn't sum it up any better.
yes, sir.
Before
Yes, sir. I'm garbage.
before we let you go, and
I need to run waste management.
well, talk to Bill Lesser.
Oh, hell yeah.
Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank tonight, other than Waste Management?
I'm not officially sponsored by them yet, so can't really do
Yet.
that. I want to thank Santa Cruz because they make like skate stuff. Ray because he has me on my team. I want to thank Garrett for being a teammate. I want to thank Hoang for also being a teammate. And that's all I got to thank. Oh, and yeah, and my mom for giving birth to me.
That's always a good one to include
That's
there.
a good one. We like that. We appreciate that one.
Yep.
Well, good luck next week at Mansfield. Hey, redemption arc, right?
Absolutely.
Redemption arc. You led the 50 laps there last time. By golly, just lead the last one this time. That's all you need. That's all you need.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thanks, Jack.
Adios.
I'm so confused with that guy.
There's no shortage of wild cards in USORL. And hey, you're going to get familiar with these guys tuning in all season long here on the JoeTowNetwork. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We will be broadcasting on Saturday nights, most Saturday nights here throughout the Red Bull Cup Series season. Next week, Joe, Mansfield, like you heard about these drivers talk in their interviews about, it should be an interesting one. We're going from the large super speedway of Daytona to the short track that is Mansfield.
And never have I ever heard people talk about wanting to go from Daytona to the middle of Ohio. And that is what we heard in some of these interviews. We even heard it during pre-race, guys not wanting to drive at these super speedways, not liking it, wanting a little more control at a short track out there in Ohio. And Tommy, we're going to have more racing action for all the fans at home that are new to us here at JTN. Monday night, the ASRA National Championship presented by Lens Creative is going to be at Indianapolis, and you'll be alongside me for that race, the Indianapolis 200, 80 laps at the most famous course in the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll also be back with you Tuesday night, 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time as well, for the Hobo Racing Cup Series Championship from Phoenix, with 4 guys going for 1 championship in the playoff format. So that'll be a fun one. You can also check out the Fake Racers podcast. I'll talk to Davey Hazard about his race here at Daytona. I can't even remember where we are, Tommy. At Daytona, and then look ahead to Mansfield, as well as talking about NASCAR Championship weekend. And then we'll be back with you 10:40 p.m. Eastern Time next weekend for the USORL Red Bull Cup Series from Mansfield, the Ohio GM, or GM of Ohio 200, I believe it's called. So it'll be a fun one there. And Tommy, before we go, sum up this race. 2 words. I'm gonna give you 2 because it was a long one and it was a little crazy. So I'll give you 2 words to sum it up.
Heartwarming. Because Noah Joyce finally broke through and won in the Cup Series. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, Tommy, you're really good at this gig. You're really good at summing things up. That just what a fantastic night for Noah Joyce, getting that first victory and locking into those playoffs. He's not gonna. You heard him saying he always kind of squeaks his way into those playoffs, and not gonna have to do that this year after winning at Daytona. But that'll conclude tonight's coverage for all of us here at JTN. For Tommy Bordeaux, my partner up in the booth. For Davey Hazard and Ricky Collette, who joined us for the duels 2 hours ago now. It's been a long night for us up here in the JTN booth. For Bristol, our producer, I've been Joe Twansky. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you spread peace, love, and happiness to all those that cross your path. And we'll see you Monday night, IndyCars, ASRA National Championship from Indianapolis. It'll be a good one. Thank you so much, everybody.